What is up, homies? Welcome back to a very special episode of the Heroes Reforged podcast. It's special because we're live. Something that we don't do very often. Welcome. So many people in the chat already.
Dang.
Nice to see you all. So we had to pivot our plan just a little tiny bit. Just a tiny bit. The plan today was we were going to have Dan Trachtenberg in the studio, not to do a live, but to do a pre-recorded episode where we talked about Prey, Predator, Killer of Killers, and whatever else we probably wanted to with Dan. Unfortunately, Dan got sick. So I got an email at 4:30 this morning saying, Dan not feel good. Dan not coming to the studio today. And I was like, okay, no big deal. We'll pivot. So we had a couple of other things that we were talking about doing. And then one of you, was it you that said, hey, we should just go live?
Yeah, well, it was actually producer Mark's idea.
Producer Mark's idea,
to go live. And I was like, you know what? We haven't done one of these in a long time. I checked our YouTube.
Been a minute, yeah.
The last live stream we did on the channel was the 100K celebration 2 years ago.
And then I brought the mood down and I said, we've only gotten 40,000 subscribers in 2 years.
Damn, what's going on?
Wow. What are we doing, guys? This is a mistake. Mark, maybe we should all go get real jobs. I think you're right. We should all go apply for real jobs. We were talking about
what we were just talking about
before. We're like, maybe we should go back to do this. But shout out to producer Mark. Thank you so much, producer Mark.
Yeah,
that's a good idea.
Our YouTube videos are constantly full of comments that are demanding that we give producer Mark a microphone because they're sick and tired of me pausing, having what's that? What's that, Mark?
What's that, Mark?
Okay, sounds good. And then repeating what they're saying.
Well, as far as people know, Mark is not a real person.
Yeah.
He just lives in our heads.
We're gonna thumbs up from not real person Mark. Okay, great.
By AI producer Mark.
AI producer Mark. Definitely.
But we will still talk about Predator, Killer of Killers. It'll just be in a non-spoiler fashion because it doesn't come out until Friday, so we don't want to give anything away.
Yeah, and we'll do a more in-depth review and probably a discussion with Dan when we're able to get him in the studio.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're going to reschedule, and we're really excited and
still going to make it happen.
And listen, we got questions from our Discord as well, from our community. We got them. We're going to ask them, and I think it's going to be a really good conversation, dude. This dude has a cool career, dude.
So cool.
Love his work.
And the fact that he came from, well, he also did commercials, but he also did the Totally Rad show on YouTube. Yeah. So he's come from the YouTube world into working within the studio system,
but
like, on some of these really cool IPs.
From the sort of like feature film career.
Yeah.
First movie was 10 Cloverfield Lane. Second movie, Prey. Third movie, Predator, Killer of Killers. This dude is 3 for 3.
I know.
And then the way he described Badlands
is coming out later this year.
What do you mean it's a full meal? How does that? What are you talking about? I was super excited when he was describing it.
Yeah. This dude is going to be 4 for 4.
Yeah, he's going to be 4 for 4. Absolutely.
And then after that, he's going to be 5 for 5.
And then after that, he's going to be like, sorry guys, I can't go on your podcast anymore.
I'm too cool now.
Too big. Too big.
We already got a super chat. Look at this.
So we decided we're going to wait for the super chats till after the end of topic conversations.
But that's 1999 pounds. So
that's like 80 American dollars. That's 80 American dollars.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so should we'll hold off on this
one.
We should read it.
No, that's off.
Okay, we could do this one.
Hang on. Let me do an Irish accent. Irish. What's a good? I feel like Scottish is almost easier to kind of like fall into.
Colin Farrell, isn't he Irish?
Yeah. Yes. Isn't he? That's right. No, it's not that. It's
kind of.
Well, he's weird too because he does
it's a little bit more subtle.
That's true. It is.
Yeah, you don't have to read it in Irish accent.
No, I have to. We're not doing
Wes
anything.
Said, Hector, don't do the accent.
We're not doing anything. Who said that?
Wes.
Who said that? Wes.
He's coming after you.
Whatever, Wes. You're a voice actor. Who cares? Don't do the accent
because he can do it better than you. No, he's a voice actor.
Let's walk through this. I like that. Cillian Murphy was a great reference. Okay, Colin Farrell. If Colin's a little bit of a chameleon,
you're gonna get us banned from Ireland.
That's okay. All right, that's cool.
It's okay. We just did a whole podcast where he did a 5-minute bit on Mario.
Sorry.
And we're never going to Italy again.
I'm cool. I'm cool with the Irish. I like the Irish. It's those Brits that I have a problem with.
It's Northern Irish.
Right?
Northern Irish.
Now all the Irish people are like, oh, cool. You're welcome here. Northern.
He said
God, what does that sound like?
Irish.
Home of Jamie Dornan.
I don't even know who that is. Home of Jamie Dornan. You know what though? Odds are that name you probably pronounce it like Shaimish Loshinen or something. Probably not even how you pronounce it. Is it like Saoirse Ronan? Is it like Saoirse Ronan? It's all in the R's. Fuck. My R's are rolled.
Yeah, you have.
Addis. Hey, fellas.
There you go.
Been watching for a long time from Belfast, Northern Ireland. How you guys feeling in the lead up to Superman F4?
Oh boy, here we go.
Been hearing a lot of things about test screenings, but I don't care. We're back, baby. Sorry, that's terrible. That's terrible. I didn't commit. I'm like covering my mouth into the bit.
Yeah. We can edit that out.
Halfway off the mic, he's like, maybe if I don't fully
Cover your mouth,
honest.
we can edit it out later.
Just real quick, but we are going to pause on the super chats, but just real quick to get your guys' take on it.
Yeah.
Test screenings. Do you give a shit?
I personally don't.
Okay.
Because I feel like a lot of the time the test screenings are so private that it's word of mouth, like,
Right.
Divided like 10 ways. It's not directly from a source. It's usually like through, whatever.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Plus also I feel like James Gunn, especially, not so much Matt Shackman because he's busy working on the movie and he doesn't run Marvel Studios. But I feel like James Gunn has come out so many times to like disprove or disqualify so many things that have been brought up. That
Correct.
It's like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to give it any face value.
And we got a note here from producer Mark too saying that the test screenings are filled with catty assistants and bitter assistants. You can't, it's like you're saying, it's like, what can you,
but also like family members of the producers who are just going to say, it's good no matter what.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah,
so
I liked it.
Either way, if you're
can't
getting,
trust them.
the reviews are bad, it's
Right.
like, who said that negative review? I remember also, I think going off of this topic, that some other piece of the internet was reporting going like, oh, no, but don't listen to that.
Yeah.
The Fantastic Four test screenings were generally good. The one negative thing that got leaked out was from a person that was like, I wish that Reed Richards made more shapes with his body.
Yeah.
And
you're
that
like,
that person
okay.
that person was like, I acknowledge I'm a deep comic book nerd and I'm going to have different nitpicks than like regular people. It's that kind of thing where it's like, okay, but like then like you're saying, friends and family screenings from the producers.
Yeah.
They're all going to say, oh, it's great.
You
So
did good.
can't-
You did wonderful.
Yeah, and
So,
that's also very different from a group who's brought in and given like a cue card to fill out to say like what
Right.
works,
Please-
what
please
doesn't
give
work,
us
what do
notes.
you like.
Please give us notes. Listen,
and I've been in a couple of those.
I did that for the Wild Robot. They did not take my notes.
Wow. Wait, you went into an early screening?
Yeah,
and
like
gave them
a
notes?
year before, or
Oh,
like
wow.
a year and a half before the movie came out.
Interesting.
And it had a bunch of like unfinished, very cool to watch.
Yeah.
And a bunch of unfinished pieces of the movie. Some were at the storyboard level, some were at the storyboard level. You could tell had scratch voice recording because they didn't bring back the actors that they cast to like record that part. And they were noodling some of the story, but it was mostly there. And I still didn't love it. And I remember my notes were like, I think this is maybe too many stories in one movie. I feel like
I remember you saying that.
Yeah,
when
I
we
was like,
talked
I
about
want to
it,
get a little bit more of the emotional stuff.
Yeah.
Basically, I think my biggest note on the Wild Robot was, I understand some of the emotional payoffs because it's like a mother-daughter story.
Mhm.
It's the mom who's voiced by Lupita Nyong'o, who's I love her, voicing this robot, not in her typical accent, but like in an American voice
like a
robot
very
accent.
soft robotic. voice.
She's lovely. Her adopting a little duckling and like raising the duckling. And then I felt like a third or halfway into the movie, there's an emotional payoff that I'm like, oh, I felt like that should have been at the end of the movie because then other stuff happens in the story. And I'm kind of like, well, I kind of was more interested in that. Yeah, I would think that would be the whole thing.
Yeah, the whole point of the movie.
It's almost like, I can't remember the specifics because I saw it 15 years ago or whenever it came out, but like the first Despicable Me movie with Gru and the Minions always felt like two movies in one.
Yeah.
Oh,
where it's like, oh, there's a bunch of supervillain comedy stuff, and then there's like, and then it raises three little girls, and I know that's the point of the movie is like the juxtaposition of the this and that, but I always felt like I'm like stick to one or the other, and to let one or the other be great. Whereas I felt like both of them weren't being serviced well enough, and that's
both at 50%.
Both at 50% as opposed to one being at 100%, and that's a stupid note for a silly kids movie.
But it's
I don't think any notes are stupid.
It's okay.
I don't think any notes are stupid.
Some animated movies I connect with, and I'm like, I adore this film.
Yeah.
Straight up, Predator, Killer of Killers. Love that movie.
Yeah, we'll talk about it.
But I like love the emotion, and I bet you people could watch it and go, it was okay emotional, and I'll be like, dude, I was tearing up. Like I connected to it. And other animated movies, I'm like, it's not for me. Well, I don't like Megamind either.
I guess we can go into what we wanted to talk about today,
snap.
right?
Good segue.
Which was,
how about before we do that? Would y'all like gifts?
What?
Would you like a gift, a present?
I went with you to Japan.
Would
Why are
you
you
like
bringing
a
more
gift,
gifts?
a present, please? I got producer Mark and producer Alex a little something from Japan.
Nice.
Yeah,
I got
was
something.
with you. What
I
did
know,
you get me?
Where did you sneak
see.
away to,
You'll see.
Hector?
First, I
Jeez.
got to give the gift to Adam.
Okay, give Adam his gift.
I keep forgetting to.
I don't need more stuff from Japan. I bought a whole suitcase.
Did you just buy
full.
Japan? What's
You're going to
here?
want this. First, for Adam, we have got
a watch.
a Porco Rosso.
Oh, for real?
Like thermal mug or something. Yeah, from the Studio Ghibli store. From the Studio Ghibli store.
Wait, from the actual Ghibli store?
Well, yeah, like a store that's like selling official
Yeah.
Studio Ghibli merch in Japan.
Wow.
Look at that.
That's nice.
Yeah, dude. It's
that
better.
looks like a baby sipper cup in Adam's hands, though. In my
exactly.
hands, it looks so big.
Here, watch. Transfer it. Transfer it to me. Look at
It's
this.
so big.
Oh my God!
It's so
Look how
big.
huge it is. Oh my God! I need both hands to hold it. It's better to be a pig than a fascist. And then we hand it to Adam. Look at this. Look at this transition. Doink. Wow!
It disappeared.
He's like, that was a good little cappuccino.
Thanks for that little
A little
shot.
espresso
Yeah.
shot.
Yeah, a little espresso shot.
And I'm
Thank
like,
you.
wow, it's like a Stanley Cup to me.
Oh, man. Thank
That's
you.
that present. And then I'm going to give you this whole thing, Augustine, because you're going to know what this is and you're going to be stoked about it. There you go. That's for you, pal.
What did you? You found them? No, you didn't. We
No
hunted
way.
around.
You guys mobbed all over Japan for these.
Dude, there is a
Bro, I ordered
such a
it.
long.
I
oh,
ordered
okay,
it.
okay,
I ordered
okay.
it.
Because I was gonna buy you these for your birthday. I was gonna buy you these for your birthday because we couldn't find them.
I know, dude.
So
I felt like I had to get you one because I put you and your wife through so much turmoil. Going to every toy store in Japan and being like, do you guys sell these? Do you have these? And everyone just being like, no, like mad.
laughing at you,
You dumb
saying,
American.
No joy toy, no joy toy,
no joy toy, no joy toy.
So just a quick TLDR. Hector and I went to Japan. Hector was hunting to at every Japanese toy store, especially in Akihabara.
Yep. And
where
Tokyo.
it's like the most
It's like
Yeah.
the
biggest
Mecca.
toy store ever, right?
And
It's like-
Osaka.
and Osaka, everywhere basically.
Mhm.
And everybody laughed at us and said, "No, we don't have it. It's not here."
Yeah.
And I
But
felt,
they had-
I felt bad for you, actually.
It was brutal. But they also had they carried other toys from this company because Joy Toy also makes Warhammer 40K action figures, which they looked really cool. And they're, I think, around that same scale. So these are 4-inch scale, which is
Yeah.
like close to the sort of 3 3/4 classic Star Wars G.I. Joe thing. I learned about these toys straight up. Let's get a sponsorship.
Joy Toy.
To the website that I ordered this from, I'm forgetting the name. Somebody put it in the chat. If you guys want to send me a bunch of these and we do unboxings, we'll do them. Because I ordered for
They're
myself,
actually really
I ordered a Leonardo
Okay.
and I got you a Raphael. And I
My
just
favorite
wanted
character.
Very
I just
cool.
wanted one. I want to open this. You can open it. I want to open it to see the actual like execution of these
We'll
things.
open it
but
at the end.
Do
We'll
they have a
open it at the end,
Donatello?
of course. And not only, dude, they have, it's ridiculous, bro. They have the 4 turtles, April, Splinter, Casey Jones, Shredder, some foot soldiers, 2 of them, like different variations, Krang, and then they even got to Slash and like Toka. And maybe they're going to get
Yeah.
Razor and they're going to
Whoa.
get some of
They
these
got
other.
a lot of cool figures, and they're
So-
really highly detailed. They're really cool, and I really appreciate the gift.
You're welcome, man.
Cynthia's gonna flip her shit when
I
she
know,
sees it.
like,
She's
they're
gonna
real.
laugh so
I think
hard.
she's on the
real.
live stream, actually.
They're
Is she
real.
really?
I think so, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Cynthia, I've got one. I ordered one. Cynthia.
It was worth it.
It was worth- but like
We didn't waste our time.
it was such a curse in a way because right before we left for Japan, like 2 or 3 days before, I'm just scrolling on Instagram and
Yeah.
this comes across my
Yeah.
Instagram and I was
Yeah.
like, what is this?
The
And
obsession starts.
the obsession starts.
That's
And the
funny,
pictures of these toys were so close up that I was like, oh, these look cool,
Yeah.
like cool 6-inch toys. I haven't heard of these.
Yeah.
Because in North America, the licenses for like NECA, Playmates Toys does action figures that they sell in stores.
Yeah.
Like there's a couple of different toy companies that have Ninja Turtles stuff.
Sure.
But I'm really mostly kind of locked into the NECA line. I have my 1990 movie Turtles. I have my, they're going to start branching out and doing some other stuff. So I researched this. I'm like, what the hell is this? Oh, they're 4 inches. Oh, look at all these accessories. They come with a skateboard, pizza, weapons, little stand. It's like a quarter of a manhole. So when you get all 4, you can connect them and like do those little
Ooh.
dioramas. And I'm like, what is this? It's from this company, Joy Toy. And then I found out that they are only sold in Asian markets, meaning
Yeah.
China, Japan, Malaysia.
I tried to buy
like-
it off the Joy Toy website,
Yeah.
and they said they don't ship to the U.S.
Yeah, dude. So I had to
Dang.
go to a second website in here in North America. And even then I was like, I don't know if this is even
kind
gonna
of shady.
thanks Trump with these
Yeah.
tariffs. I'm like, I don't even know what's about to happen, but I'm
Yeah.
like, order 2 of these. And
Yeah.
they're like, and one of the websites I started with was also like, you can't you're in North America. You cannot.
You can't ship here.
And I went, so I went to this other website and, you pay a little bit more of a premium, but I just got these figures as opposed to committing to the whole thing. But anyway, I think it was, I don't see the name in the chat. What was it called? Like, I'm going to see if I can look it up. Anyway.
I can pull up the chat here if you want it.
Yeah. Whatever. No, it's fine. It's not going to be in the chat. I'll find the toy company because I want to shout them out and be like, the website. I'm going to shout them out and go,
I see.
send me more of those and we'll do unboxing.
Collect the whole set.
Anyway, man, maybe by the end of this, you can unbox the little guy.
Yeah.
And check it out. Because like I've seen other unboxing videos and people will like, and then we were going to every store and then we'd sit down in a restaurant and I'd pull up a video and I'd be like, dude, look at this though. Look at this action figure. This looks so sick.
We were just like drooling over it. And so in my head, I was like, where's the highest likelihood that we are going to find these toys? And we went to the places where we thought we would find it.
And they were kind of like, and also there's a language barrier, but like, you know, Abby was sort of translating a little bit. And they were kind of like, we had them last year. They sold out. Or like, we don't carry that.
Yeah.
Or like, it was, I don't know, it was just
brutal. Or they would show
brutal.
us, they would be like, Ninja Turtles are over there. Just go, good luck.
Yeah.
That's it.
And we'd go over and I'd be like, this is the bullshit I can get at home. Yeah.
Well, good news for Turtles fans. They're finally going to release the 4K remaster of the original
right, baby.
Oh my
Teenage
God.
Mutant Ninja Turtles, which I'm very excited for.
And you know what I'm doing this Sunday? Going to the new Beverly.
New Bev?
Yeah,
Nice.
checking out a 35mm screening of the original 1990 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Just like a warm blanket.
Dude, I'm gonna cry
amazing.
so hard.
That sounds amazing. I found the website with those where I got it.
What is it?
Kaukus. Kaukus with a K, Kowkis. Kaukus Collectibles or KaukusToys.com, I think is what it is. Somebody wants to put that in the chat. Shout out to KaukusToy.com.
Yeah.
Kaukus Toy. If you guys want to send us the entire collection, we will open it.
Yeah.
We will tell people to go to your website and order that shit. Tariffs be damned. Okay? Tariffs be damned.
Tough Luck asked if we're going to see Elio. We have invites to the screening on
the 16th.
Thursday. On the 16th?
Yeah. It's a Monday.
Monday the 16th.
In 3D, baby.
Yeah, in 3D.
Yeah.
It looks
so
good.
I'm looking forward to it. I actually, when I went to go watch Lilo and Stitch, they let us into the Disney Lot employee store and everything was 20% off. So I bought myself the most ridiculous Toy Story jacket. It's like a racing jacket. It's almost like the race car from Toy Story.
That's great.
But it's like plastered with like logos and like, you know
cool.
how what's his name? The Guardian looked at the end of Thunderbolts.
Yeah.
How he had that racing outfit.
Yeah,
it looks like that.
That's
like just
cool.
plastered with logos and like it's got checkered racing
Avengers
stripes.
with a Z.
I'm gonna wear that to.
Is it
the
green
screening.
and blue like
it's
the
green and blue.
RC car?
Yeah, like the
Really?
RC car.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah,
that's
it's really
great.
rad. I'm
That's
gonna wear
great.
it to the screening. So.
We used to go to the Disney Lot all the time for screenings, and
Yeah.
they haven't done them there at least for like media for
us,
a long time,
Yeah,
like 5 years. And I didn't know that there was a store there. I don't know
It's
if
only open to employees. That's why.
Oh,
Yeah.
so
You
gotta
that's
be
why. That's the
invited.
only reason why it was.
And
open.
they have stuff that is sold out everywhere.
Like 3D
so
blurs?
that jacket,
3D
no, well, they
blurs?
don't have 3D
Ah,
blurs.
come on.
But merch.
It's a good one.
Like they have
you
merch.
looked up the jacket? The store? It's a good store.
Oh,
Yeah.
let me show you
Producer
the
Mark's
jacket.
been at that store.
We got a hookup, bro. All we got to do is ask our hookup, like, can we come and have lunch on the lot? And then that's how you go shopping. That's part of it. That's part of it.
I actually went to the Warner Brothers. I did the studio tour for Superman Day.
Cool.
And they have a newly built, newly remodeled Warner Brothers store.
Nice.
And they carry Blu-rays there.
Nice.
And I was like, that's really cool.
I know.
This is the ridiculous jacket I got.
Oh,
Hell
that's
yeah.
sick.
And then on the back,
You gotta show them.
yeah, I got to. And then on the back, it's this.
That's
I don't
cool.
know. I don't know if it's going to show up on
Champions.
camera.
It will.
All right, let's try it. Yeah,
pretty great.
yeah.
Look at that thing.
That thing is ridiculous.
Look at that thing.
And then on the back, it's Woody and RC.
Yeah.
And it's
That's
totally
very
plastered
cool.
with stuff.
Wear
but
that
I'm gonna wear that to the
to
screening for
Disneyland
sure.
and then to the Cars Land ride. That's
Yeah,
like, you know.
absolutely.
Shill it
That's
up.
awesome. That's
At this
great.
point, shill it
Well,
up.
Yeah.
we should probably pause talking about Elio because there's a little bit of a conversation there
Yeah.
for our second half. Where
Yeah,
we're kind
yeah.
of looking at the summer.
Mhm.
But to go back to what we were talking about, what we wanted to talk about, we all randomly saw Lilo and Stitch
At different
Like-
times, right?
Like, we still
Yeah.
like not all of us have even seen Mission Impossible yet, but we all
Yeah.
three of us, for some reason or other,
Yes.
saw Lilo and Stitch, the live action movie.
Different ways.
And we're
Yes.
going to talk about
Yes.
it.
Yeah.
And just have a larger conversation about where are we with that, man? It's the live
remakes,
action
talking about
remakes.
animation,
Yep.
talking about what
3D.
the F people are doing and thinking, because How to Train Your Dragon also falls into this shit
I
too.
know.
Yeah, it does.
And
I
How
know.
to Train Your Dragon is one of my most favorite franchises ever because it's so good.
It's pretty solid.
So it's really good. And I will say, I did, for some reason, this movie brought out
Lilo and Stitch.
Yeah, for some reason, Lilo and Stitch, the movie was spoiled for me over social media because people were so mad about the changes.
Yeah.
They didn't even care about spoilers. Nobody said spoiler warning. Nobody said anything. I'm not going to spoil it either.
I think we should because I want to talk about it.
Okay.
And
well, here's a spoiler
warning
for everyone.
Yeah.
I've never seen the animated version.
So that's why I wanted to talk about it too, because you've never seen the original.
I know.
That's crazy.
And I'll do you one better. Who is Gamora? No, I'll do you one better. I'll do you one better.
What is Gamora?
I've seen the original animated film, but this was a movie that I also didn't love growing up. The first time I saw it.
The original Lilo and Stitch, you didn't love it?
I didn't love it.
Oh
Now, hang on.
Oh my goodness.
Before you choke him to death.
Before I went to go see the live action, I was like, I need to rewatch it.
Yeah.
And in a rewatch, I was like, you know what? I like this. It grew on me. I could really see, I think the years have been kind to it versus I think that in 2002, I don't know if it...
ahead of its time, dude.
Yeah, but I also say that like I am totally fine with kind of a weird, unpolished feeling Disney animated movie because Emperor's New Groove is one of my favorites. And I think
it is my favorite.
I think it came out around the same era where they were like really like trying because or taking risks because they're coming out of the Disney Renaissance of the 90s, 80s and 90s. The last sort of one I think that fell into that category was Tarzan. And then you get to the early 2000s and they don't know what they're doing.
They don't.
I still haven't seen Home on the Range. I still haven't seen Brother Bear. I saw Dinosaur, which was the CG animated
the good
one.
Dinosaur?
No, that's Pixar. Remember the movie Dinosaur that had the CG dinosaurs,
the full,
but
realistic
with like live action backgrounds? It's a really interesting concept. Yeah, and I think these movies are
Chicken
all worth...
Little.
Chicken Little.
Meet the Robinsons.
Chicken Little is bad. Meet the Robinsons is good.
Yeah,
so it's this weird like time. But I remember Lilo and Stitch when I saw it, 20 years ago when I was young, when I was a kid, I was like, I don't know if I'm vibing with this. It doesn't feel polished. It doesn't feel, there's a couple things I think I still feel mostly that I'm like, I think that it could have been.
Could it be that you were growing up out of your kid phase too?
Maybe.
Because 2002, you would have been like,
I'm like 15,
16,
somewhere in there.
So you were edgelord.
A little bit, but it is all that might be part of it because but this is another criticism.
Emote out.
Yeah, I was just like,
because
tonight will be the night that I will fall for you. Over again. I want to watch this movie. It's so stupid.
It's not dark
Stitch
enough.
is too cute. I'm gonna go watch Sleepy Hollow or whatever the fuck was coming out at that time. You don't get. I'm gonna watch
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch Attack of the Clones. Yeah. 2002. I'm all about Spider-Man. I'm old. I'm an adult.
I don't need that baby shit.
It's for babies. No. In all seriousness, this is one criticism I do have of the franchise across the board, but I understand as part of the appeal. I think Stitch is too cute. It's like for a movie that's so weird and has because again, the premise of the movie is here's an alien that was designed to be a killing machine, a murderer, and a thing that's going to cause destruction.
Yeah.
And he ultimately ends with hi, I drive a car.
That's a pretty good Stitch.
Hi.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, you were designed to be appealing. You're super cute.
Yeah,
you're Grogu.
You're Grogu.
Of course. It's a Disney movie.
Where it's like, oh, he's a little chaos goblin. And I'm like, not really. Anyway, I know it's a Disney movie. Exactly. But all this to say, I rewatched the animated movie and it's great.
Yeah.
And it has a lot of heart and it is weird. And that's the best part of the movie. But do you guys remember? So you've never seen the animated. Do you remember that moment where Lilo and her sister are fighting and then Lilo goes into the other room to hide? And what does she crawl into? She crawls into a washing machine.
Oh, right.
And didn't they change that or something?
They did change that. They changed
so
that.
when people say when people are fairly criticizing the new movie and they're like it's too sanitized and it's too nice and it's not as weird as the original. That's true. But even the original got censored, bro. Even the original was so sort of weird. And
you know why that got
a little
censored,
risky,
right?
Yeah, because they didn't want kids crawling into washing machines.
There was a recent death in the news of a kid who crawled into the oven. So initially she crawled into the oven.
Oh wait, no, it was a washing machine because the updated versions on Disney Plus, and they changed it to basically be like a laundry
cupboard
box
or something.
It's like something that's harmless.
Non-threatening.
Yes, it's not a washing machine. It's not an oven.
Pantry.
You know how they changed the end sequence too, right?
I do because of September 11th.
Because of September 11th, the end sequence was a plane flying through a city and crashing into buildings.
No. Between buildings of Honolulu.
Well, yeah.
But it was like a plane.
It was too close
Yep.
to a September 11th situation.
So
makes sense. So they had to change the whole last sequence So where it was
Now
just
it's in the
flying in the
mountains.
sky, and
Yeah.
the mountains just
Yeah.
like around the landscape of
So
Hawaii.
I get it. I understand
Lots of
that
changes.
stuff.
Yeah.
But it's still like, I feel like the Disney that exists now is in many ways still the Disney that existed then. Do you see what I'm saying? That's
Yeah.
all. That's all my thing.
Right.
And I want to talk about the spoilers because I was also spoiled for the movie. And apologies to producer Mark. We spoil everything for him. I'm so sorry. And let's just
Except
do a
for
quick,
Andor.
Except for Andor, which we
Andor,
didn't.
yeah.
And we're
We
good.
won't-
And he's
we
giving
won't
us finger
spoil
guns.
Andor.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But just let's real quick talk about it. And here's a quick spoiler warning. Okay. So if you haven't seen the live action Lilo and Stitch and you're planning to,
Turn off your ears.
Just mute this.
Earmuffs.
In the movie at the end, Nani goes to college,
To San Diego.
to San Diego. And
Yeah.
people were very mad. And I think that there's absolutely valid reasons to be mad about it because they're like, look, there's a lot of issues with indigenous kids being put into the foster care system. And for a young person to watch the movie or learn about what happens in the movie, and then they went onto TikTok, they went onto social media, and they were like, oh, by the way, Nani gives up her sister to the state, by the way. It's like a pretty scathing take on that. And I think it's a little disingenuous because it's not really what happens. I think that the movie ultimately has a message of like, you know, if Stitch can be a part of your family, because he's found family, and Stitch is on the beach and he looks over and he's like, that's my Ohana. Yeah, they're broken, but still good. That's the point of the movie.
Yeah.
And it's a very lovely message.
Yeah.
Then what they built up in the movie, in the live action movie, which is different than the animated movie, is that they have a neighbor who's that older woman who is a family friend.
Right.
And then she's constantly like, Nani, you don't have to do this by yourself.
Yeah.
The community, you know, we can
We'll
help
help.
you. We'll help. Right. And so like, I think that's also a nice message too. And I think that this movie, in my opinion, just tries to give Nani more than the animated movie had time to give her. The end of this movie is like, not only will Stitch be a part of the family, but we're going to turn our attention and go, Nani, if you want to go and follow your dreams or you are into marine biology or whatever. And I think even I like the moment at the end where she uses some of her surfing like skill as an emotional part of the movie. I was like, oh, I think this is fantastic. This is great.
Addition,
Right?
yeah.
Great addition.
Yeah.
So then at the end, and then plus here's the other thing that I saw nobody talk about until I saw the movie is that Nani also has a portal gun.
Yeah.
So like she goes to college.
That's not in the
That
OG.
was cool.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not in the OG. So she's in San Diego State or wherever, you know, studying marine biology. And she's on a Zoom call with Lilo. And she's like, I miss you too. And then she just uses a portal gun to sci-fi go and be with her sister and spends the night with her in a room. And I'm like, oh, it's a happy ending.
Yeah.
It's a fake fantasy happy ending.
Yes.
So I was watching the movie kind of being like, oh man, I feel like it's a disingenuous sort of, you know, take. Whereas when I saw that take off, I saw other people go, I have no interest in watching this new movie now. And I'm like, well, that sucks because that's not what happened.
Yeah. And
But
that's not the crux of the movie either.
No, but I
Right.
get the if you want to have a conversation about why is Disney making live action movies, was this new Lilo and Stitch movie just made to promote their hotel and their like what's it called? What's the word I'm thinking of?
The Disney resort.
Their resort.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's a fair. I'm like, we could talk about that.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot in this movie that is around the resort that's not in the animated.
Yes.
film. You know, especially with like resorts being in Hawaii.
Yeah.
And
Aulani.
Aulani, that's what it's called.
Yeah.
so
Good job. Good pull.
there's criticisms there, but I just remember being like, well, this is not like, I'm like, Nani's still with her sister.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, and a big part
There's
of
not
the,
enough context to have a justified conversation.
and a big part of the animated movie is like it's only like 80 minutes long or 85 minutes long
Yeah.
or what. It's like under an hour and a half. And at the end of that movie, throughout that whole movie too, she's also struggling raising her sister. And there's really no resolution other than just like, well, I'm gonna keep doing that. And you're like, damn, Nani needs a break. Like she got like she's getting fired. Like it's tough. And because the cartoon movie, I think doesn't have enough, you know, time to, or they didn't give themselves enough time. I mean, we just saw an 84-minute movie that has a lot in it.
Yeah.
Killer of Killers has some fantastic storytelling for being
Yeah.
84 minutes long.
Yeah.
Could the original Lilo and Stitch done that and wrapped up Nani's story in a
Yeah,
more
yeah.
satisfying way? Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Here's what I got to say before you get into
Yeah.
your take, Adam, because you have not seen the original.
yeah.
I have family members who work for CPS. When I talk to them about work,
Yeah.
it's sad and depressing, dude. They are the people who go to people's houses and take children from horrible situations
Yeah.
and save them, ultimately putting them in the foster system, but saving a child, right? So like they have to go police escorted into a house to say, hey, we are here to take your child. So to me, I've heard these stories. I've seen the way my family reacts to this kind of stuff because they are part of it. A lot of them are actually work for you know, the government agency. And so they all kind of are in the same field. But I think it's also an uncomfortable conversation to have with people. Like, this happens.
Yep.
It happens a lot.
Yep.
And children are put into the foster system a lot. And I'm not saying it's good for the children. Obviously, we want all these children to have happy homes and safe families and everything like that. But it's an unfortunate reality of what happens. And I think part of the scathing reviews are that uncomfortability with that subject of children not being in happy homes.
Yeah.
So we don't know how everybody feels about that. And I feel like that's part of what I've been seeing skewed in the reviews.
I think you're right.
That people don't really talk about that very much.
Maybe people are sort of trying to articulate like, hey, if you're going to have this be part of your movie, then really go into it.
Right.
But then I've also seen people go, but I don't want this in my movie about escapism and about aliens.
Right.
Because some of the defense of like, well, Nani goes to college and then Lilo is left with a neighbor, but really is just raised right next door.
Right.
And not only is this older woman neighbor like kind of coming in as sort of a foster mom, but then like Agent Cobra Bubbles sticks around for the alien part of it and sort of becomes a father character in this where he's hanging out at the house to keep an eye on Stitch. But it's like you get too parental. You know, I felt like that's part of the story that I think people are going, when the movie said, well, realistically, if this is a tough situation and a 19-year-old Nani is trying to raise a 6-year-old girl, that's tough, man. Tough.
It's really tough.
Earlier in the movie, she didn't sign her up for health insurance. You know, and it's not the most like Lilo's okay, but it's not the most devastating thing. But just like them trying to use an example of like this can be
neglect.
It's
That's child neglect. This kid needs to be taken care of.
So when people are defending the live action movie's choices and going, we're trying to give everybody a happy ending, people go, well, I don't want that in my movie about aliens. I don't want that in my movies about escapism. I don't want like a realistic take on this subject matter. But then again, I think people would appreciate it. But then again, people are going, well, that's not what this movie should be about. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right. But it is PG like the initial movie was about that.
But did it go into it enough or not enough? Or you know, and all of this is really complicated because Disney wants their characters to be a lot of the times orphans. Just, you know, Aladdin is an orphan. Aladdin had a mom in earlier versions of the animated movie that they cut. They just be like, it would just be easier. The audience is going to sympathize more. It's such a movie shortcut. But then when you do that and you go, okay, let's make this unique. We want a broken family so that when Stitch comes in, Stitch will stitch up the family.
Right.
Okay, but then you have a broken family. And this is the movie that has indigenous characters, is the one where like the sister can't handle, you know, she's not allowed to go live her dreams. Ariel ditched out on her family. Ariel bailed for a white boy.
She booked it for a stranger, boy.
Bailed for a stranger,
boy.
you guys. So if we're going to be criticizing Lilo and Stitch, just across the board, like hold Ariel accountable.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like that's it. So it's tricky to go, this new movie's doing things wrong. And I go, it's just doing what the animated film did.
Just expanding it a little bit more.
Right. So
really.
But I'm not saying it's an invalid. I'm like, it's valid. But then we have to loop in the animated one.
But then we also have to loop in the fact that we're watching a Disney movie.
Exactly. It's PG.
Like, there's portal guns and Pleatley and John, what's his name? Jonga?
The bad guy, whatever.
Guys,
and, you know,
they transform.
Stitch is driving a little car and he's, you know.
Yeah.
So
he's driving a Hot Wheels faster than a Hot Wheels was ever designed to go. Yeah. So like.
all this to say, I still gave the movie 2 stars. I'm like, it's okay. It's fine.
I gave it 3. There was some moments that choked me up.
Right at the end. I thought there was some good stuff.
Yeah, there was some good stuff. All right, Adam.
But anyway.
Hit us with your non-OG movie watching, new movie watching review.
Oh, God. Well, the thing that I was going to say first is, you know, in the animated version, because I obviously have seen stills and clips from it, I think the other thing that is also, at least for me as an adult and seeing clips of that movie, Nani looks like an adult. Like she looks like she's 30 in the animated version.
But she's supposed to be 19 or 20 or whatever.
And I didn't.
Yeah, she was great.
Oh, she was voiced by her?
Yeah. And that's why Tia was in the new one.
That's why Tia was in the new one. Yeah.
All makes sense now.
And then that actor who was the guy who like ran the restaurant, I'm forgetting the actor's name. He's great. He played, he was Mowgli in the Jungle Book live action in the 90s.
Oh, yeah. Jason Scott Lee.
Scott Lee.
Yes.
He voiced the hunky surfer guy in the animated movie.
Yeah.
So then in this one,
cool.
he's the guy who has to fire Nani because the restaurant's, you know. I love
cool
that
they brought that stuff back.
Keep going.
But I think that's the thing that's more visually clear, at least in the live action version, is that she's very, very young. So yeah, like I think for me, it lacks the depth.
Yeah.
And I think if you're gonna bring up those sorts of things, then I think you need to just make a full commitment to go into it and to actually have something really, really impactful to say. And I feel like as I was watching the movie, to me, it felt like it was tinkered with quite a bit also. And maybe that's not the case.
100%.
But as I'm watching this edit like unravel itself, It's very fast paced. It's very chaotic. It's overcut to death.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I feel like
A lot of ADR.
lots of ADR. And as I'm watching it, I couldn't help but think to myself, it seems like the director had a vision that maybe was a little bit more in line with wanting to explore those topics. But people at Disney or wherever were saying, this might be getting a little too heavy for what this movie is. We need to make it a little bit more kid friendly. So now they're compromising and they're playing both sides and they're not really saying anything that has a lot of depth, but they're also not completely eliminating those things. So when I get to the film, I want to have an emotional connection to what the characters are going through, but I'm not really fully having one because I'm thinking to myself like, well, if Nani can't take care of Lilo and she still wants to be able to have some sort of freedom in her life to pursue the things that she wants to do, this is the best case scenario.
Right.
She
has a
Lilo's
portal
not being
gun.
thrown into the system.
Right.
At
Some stranger,
random.
yeah.
Right.
She's going with someone that she knows, that she feels comfortable with. Nani can come and visit whenever she wants. Stitch is still part of the picture. It is the best case scenario. But I felt like if you really wanted to, for that story, that portion of the story to hit and had depth, you should have maybe put them through situations where maybe that wasn't going to be the case.
Yeah.
But then
Exactly.
are you taking away from that, what you're talking about, that sort of like,
The importance of it?
Uniqueness.
not the uniqueness, but the idea that this is just like for family entertainment. It's just a family film.
Right.
It's just meant to be fun, an escapist piece of media, and not have anything more, not be anything more than that. And I think that's part of the conversation with a lot of these live action adaptations is what are they adding that's making their existence justified other than just, well, we don't want to show kids the animated versions because they're old and some of the themes might be problematic. So let's just water it down and make it accessible to everyone.
Like we want to update Snow White,
Sure,
and maybe inject more modern concepts of romance and men and women dynamic. And I haven't even seen the new Snow White one. I'm waiting for it to go to Disney Plus, and I will watch it. But yeah, that kind of you're right. Okay, then spoiler over. Lilo and Stitch. You can come back. Spoiler over. You can unmute.
And this is not a spoiler, but I think the overall theme of like your actual family, like your blood family versus your found family is really great.
It's fantastic.
It's incredibly relatable to anyone and everyone around the world.
Agreed.
You know, like we all have our own families, but we are also in so many ways a family too. So I think it's a very, very universal theme. I just feel like if you're going to tackle that, really go in on it and move me emotionally. So when characters have moments in the film and you're really trying to get into the depth of who these characters are and what their goals are and what they're looking for, I want to be moved by it. Yeah. Because there were moments, again, not a spoiler, but there were moments where I was like, you're right on the edge of emotion.
Man.
Yeah,
but
right.
you're just missing just a little bit of that depth to pull me in.
I can't wait for you to watch the OG.
Yeah.
I can't wait for you to watch the OG.
It's good.
I love
Maybe
the
I'll
OG
watch it for
movie.
the channel, even if it's on my
We
own.
need to do no, we gotta watch it for the channel. We gotta watch it for the channel. You haven't seen a lot of Disney movies.
I'll say this.
So we gotta watch it for the channel.
This is also not a spoiler for the new Lilo and Stitch live action movie, but there was an original animated movie, and then they did like a TV series for a
huge
couple of
TV
seasons with some sort of made for TV movies that were like the pilot or the finale. And they did some other stuff with Stitch. And I was like, okay, if you're doing a live action movie, at least there with having the kind of longer story in front of you, loop in more of that stuff. And they barely had one little reference.
Yeah, just
when a
the
character
other
was
6, 2,
swiping,
7,
just a character was swiping a thing. I'm like, oh, there's one other of those creatures, but the TV show had like all 625 other experiments.
And Stitch has a girlfriend.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So
she's
I'm like,
pink.
I'm not
So,
saying
like,
put all of it in one movie, but I'm like set more stuff up.
I
know?
feel like Adam's correct in saying that the edit in this movie was just rough.
sure.
Like it was just rough because there was moments like how you're talking about how they're trying to fit things into the movie.
Let me sit
Like,
with something.
exactly.
Let me feel
Even the
something
jokes that
emotionally.
they got from the movie, the timing was way off. Like the moment where she's laying on the floor and singing that Elvis song in the animated series, she's sulking and you could just feel her depression and she's just on the floor, and they stick with it just a hair longer, but that hair longer is what you need to really kind of like
the live action,
make it funny, but also feel bad for her.
The live action was like, okay, here she is. Okay, don't settle on it too much. We don't want to tell the audience that she's actually depressed. Like move on. You got to get to the next thing.
The edit was just super rough, and I think that's really what kind of killed the movie for me.
Yeah.
Is the super duper rough edit, because right off the bat, it's just like boom, boom. Within
know.
the first like 30 seconds, you're already
know.
on planet Earth.
I mean, sadly, I felt like this movie was edited for a TikTok audience.
Yeah, it feels that
You
way.
know,
Yeah.
It feels that
Like
way.
a short attention span
yeah,
audience,
yeah.
which is unfortunate.
Do you guys think that there's anything of value, any merit? And I think there is, but anything of value in doing a Disney animated film and now doing a live action version of that story?
You mean just of this movie in particular or just in general?
Across the board. I want to open it up. I want to, like, Lilo and Stitch is part of this
ask that again?
conversation. Okay, Lilo and Stitch is part of this conversation. I mean, we asked Robert Kirkman, that's a different thing. But like, do you guys think there's anything of value in doing a live action remake of an animated movie,
Sure.
especially at that Disney level? And I guess DreamWorks with How to Train Your Dragon, that's probably their most visible.
Mhm.
Probably because if you're doing live action Kung Fu Panda, that's still an animated panda.
Right.
Do you know what I'm
Still
saying?
CG Panda.
Still a CG panda.
It's Lion King.
It's Lion King, which would be weird.
Yeah.
It would be weird. And anyway, do you guys think there's anything of value, or do you think they shouldn't do a single one?
I think there is some value, but I really think it depends on how you approach the story. If you're just going to do a shot-for-shot remake of what already exists in animation, then I don't understand what the point is.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like a waste of resources, a waste of time, a
Yeah.
waste of money. Just re-release. And this is the thing that I brought up on
good point.
on Twitter, was I said, I don't see the value in doing this because as we've seen with the success of re-releases, just put the old thing back out.
Mm-hmm.
People will go see it.
Mhm.
Revenge of the Sith did
Yeah.
incredibly well. Interstellar, incredibly well.
Theater re-releases, you mean?
Yeah,
right?
theatrical re-releases where parents can bring their kids on movies that they grew up on that I think now newly remastered with
Yeah.
new sound,
Yeah.
with, you know, all the advancements of projection technology,
Yeah.
and to experience those things and see what can we add to it in a live action setting that we couldn't do before that spins the story in a new way. Like, I haven't seen Maleficent, but the concept of Maleficent of seeing a similar story from a completely
Great
different
concept.
perspective.
Great concept.
I think that's interesting because we get to learn about a new character. I don't think you should do that with all of them, but you got to find an interesting in.
Yeah.
Mhm.
The thing with How to Train Your Dragon that I think is a little unique compared to these other ones, it's the same director
I know.
of the
Right,
animated
right.
movie
Mhm.
doing the live action one.
Mhm.
So there's an opportunity for that same feeling, that heart, that love, and that joy that we have for that original film to be translated into the live action one.
Mhm.
I still wish that, and I haven't seen it yet, so I don't know, that they find something a little bit different to do with it rather than just doing a shot for shot adaptation of what was already done.
It looks very similar.
Yeah.
It looks so similar that I'm at the point where I'm like, I'm a little worried, and I feel like it's just going to be that. But apparently, some of those early test screenings, some of those, like, they showed it at CinemaCon or wherever it was they
And
showed
it's
it
been
at.
screening the last week, I think, too.
Screening, like, apparently audiences like it a lot. So How to Train Your Dragon, the money grab. Yeah. Okay, great. That's a note from producer Mark.
is
That's good.
live on
one
our
today.
screen right now.
He's on one today. But again, that's another example of to go back to. I'll give you another example. You guys remember Aladdin? You remember the sequels that came after, like Return of Jafar, or even
Never saw
Aladdin-
them, but I know.
Aladdin
My
and-
favorite
Yeah.
Aladdin entry is the King of Thieves.
The King of Thieves. Now,
I
in
fucking
that,
love that movie.
Aladdin's biological dad is in
Yeah.
it. So I'm like, okay, Guy Ritchie, when you're doing your live action Aladdin movie that came out in 2019 or whatever, a couple of years ago, 6 years ago now, I'm like, are you going to do a flashback with that dad and a younger Aladdin? And then,
No.
you know what I mean? I'm
Those
like,
are straight to DVD releases. They don't care.
right. But it's like, but that's what I'm
Imagine
saying
if
is
they
like,
did.
imagine, and again, How to Train Your Dragon is one of your favorite franchises.
Yeah.
There's other stuff in those
Yeah.
sequels, and even they had like TV shows. There's like
Yeah.
other mythology. There's other lore. Could they have, when you're looking at the whole picture, go, actually, let's bring in something
Yeah.
in a part one to be able to pay off. So it's like, feels like more of a payoff.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying? And I don't know if this new one's going to do that. The How to Train Your Dragon, it might,
don't know.
but
It's no different than the way that I feel about Rob Zombie's Halloween. Like the first half of that movie tries to explore some new part of Michael Myers' origin.
Okay.
Which I think is already a hard sell for someone like me, because to me, Michael Myers isn't a character. He's an it. He's a thing.
right.
But then the second half of the movie is more or less just like a remake of Carpenter's film.
Right.
All not completely shot for shot, but there's a lot of similarities to the point where I'm like,
Why?
just do the first half of the movie for the whole thing.
Right.
Yeah.
You know,
right,
give me
right.
something new.
Yeah.
So I think that's my frustration. And you know, like there were some people on social media that were saying, you know, we are very privileged that we got to grow up with those movies, and new audiences don't get that opportunity. Yes, they do.
Yeah.
Show them
it to
on your
them.
TV.
Right.
Be an
Right.
ambassador for these movies that you grew up loving.
Right.
Like, I don't want them to remake Star Wars, the original trilogy, just so it can have modern effects with
Right.
new actors.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
like if you're going to do that, do something completely different.
Re-release it in
Remix
3D.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like remix it completely differently.
Mhm.
I want to see new characters. I want to see characters that had one role in the original trilogy do something completely different. Yeah, people are going to be upset about it, but like, then just watch the original trilogy.
Mhm.
Why are you going to
Right,
redo the exact same thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also think, I know we've talked about this before, but it does feel as though every time one of these movies comes out, even if it's, but we're trying to update and modernize, like Snow White, she had very antiquated ideas about romance and love and, you know, and not very feminist. And we want to make sure to give good messages to young girls. And if we're asking them to watch a movie from 1937, and then they're just going to turn to their mom and dads and be like, wait, can I not be the hero? Can I not, you know, I just have to wait for like a man to come in, you know, I get it. I don't know if little kids, the thing is little kids
I
are
don't think little kids are
impressionable.
watching movies
They're,
like that. though.
they're not, but the thing is that some of that stuff will
Does kinda
very,
stick with
you
you.
know,
It
get into
kinda
your
does stick with you.
cerebellum. Look, I was raised on Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And when I was a young boy, my mixed up backwards idea was like, well, if I'm funny and cool, no matter how I look or no matter how I, you know, whatever, eventually a supermodel will notice me and I'll get married to a super. Like, that's not a healthy, that's a wish fulfillment. That's escapism.
I guess that's the difference for me because I grew up watching very adult movies.
Sure.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's
So it
different.
kind of
and
like
it's-
skews
Yes.
I didn't
And-
grow up watching Disney.
And it's different for us too because we're
Yeah.
boys, and I think we've had different messages told to us. Like, you can
Yeah.
do this, you can be Luke Skywalker, you
Yeah,
can do
yeah,
this.
yeah.
And it really, in our era, there was a real shift of like, you know, and don't come at me with things like, well, little girls had like Ripley and Sarah Connor from Terminator, and don't do that. There's just not the same sorts of
well, the volume's
stories.
also not there.
I mean,
100%, 100%. And again, those are very adult stories.
you
Those are
name
rated
two,
R.
I could name 15 off the top of my
yeah,
head.
yeah. So anyway,
Bingo.
so the notion of like of a company like Disney trying to be more responsible, I buy it.
Yeah.
But every time one of these comes out, it also feels like, okay, you're just legitimizing the idea that like a movie's not a real movie unless it's live action.
Mhm.
Mhm.
For a company who
Right?
built off their
Yeah.
fame and fortune off of animation, dude,
Not great.
That's their bread and
That's
butter.
what fucking
Not
they
great,
only
right?
exist because of the.
pisses me
Yeah.
off.
Not great
so
because
much.
it's like the thing that all Lilo and Stitch fans have been waiting for, the live action.
the live
It's
action
like,
remake.
No,
I will
that's,
say
you
that
know,
little girl actress is great.
she's adorable.
She was
Oh,
fantastic.
no, yeah.
She was.
You know.
Well, and to me, that's the bummer of it all is that a lot of times the actors who are in these projects are great.
Mhm.
They deliver on what they're asked to do,
Yeah.
but it's because the whole thing doesn't come together that it makes them not look so great.
Right.
Mhm.
Exactly.
And people find a reason to like poke
to
the
nitpick
bear and nitpick
poke.
and all
Yeah,
that stuff.
Yeah.
I mean,
agree.
truthfully, after I saw that 2019 Lion King
Yeah.
live action, whatever
Yeah.
you want to call it, remake, I was not stoked about going into the rest of them
Sure.
because I thought I saw
was-
this in '94
Yeah.
and I weeped.
Mhm.
I'm watching
Yeah.
this now and I'm like, okay, I could have just watched this at home. I have the 4K Blu-ray. I have the 3D Blu-ray of the
Yeah.
original movie.
It's
you know?
funny. I saw on Instagram somebody put together like every sort of Rotten Tomatoes critics score of every one of those live action movies
Mhm.
next to a critic score of the original animated movie.
Mhm.
And it's a little tough because like Rotten Tomatoes wasn't a thing in 1967 when the
Right.
Jungle Book came out.
Right.
So it's going to have a weird metric of, I'm not saying that the original animated Jungle Book wasn't great, but that was the only one where the live action Jungle Book has a Rotten Tomato score of like 93%,
Mhm.
whereas the animated was like less than that.
Mhm.
And I was like, this feels, and whereas everything else, the Rotten Tomato score for every other live action movie was lower than the
And
animated.
the animated one.
Even going back to the Glenn Close 101 Dalmatians
Right.
from the 90s, it's
Mhm.
like not as good as the, and it was weird looking at that because I'm like, these metrics aren't super accurate,
Mhm.
but it is also interesting to see that like, okay, something's happening where these stories work animatedly, but they are not working in a lot. And is it just because the movies are bad, or is there something at the core of like, you know, The Lion King isn't meant to function in a live action real world setting. Dumbo isn't meant to function, you know, is there something to that?
Mhm.
Cruella with Emma Stone, like
I heard actually people like that one.
it's not bad, but it's also just like, you know, yes, performances can be more nuanced in live action or in animation. Yeah, I could see that. I mean, it's just I think that our brains work differently when we're watching.
I think it's the reliance of having. If you take a look at the fantasy aspect of these movies, it's a lot of talking animals.
Exactly.
I think it's a reliance of CG on the fact that we're more willing to buy an animated talking animal than
100%.
a CG talking animal that
100%.
has texture and random hairs and skin moles and
And
like,
I don't care that it's Beyonce. I'm sorry. I don't.
Right.
It's not the pull for
I
me.
don't care either.
I'm sorry.
No,
I know
you can
everyone
throw-
loves her.
Here's the only celebrity I care about being in movies, and it's Jack Black. Give Jack Black all the roles.
Yeah.
I want him to be in everything.
Simba, Mufasa,
everything,
Scar.
everything.
He'll
Did
voice them all.
You sent us that TikTok where Jack Black was Darth Vader? Yeah. And that was fucking hilarious. I'll take a Jack Black Darth Vader.
But
all
yeah,
day.
it's like you watch the original Lion King animation and you're just swept up with the music,
James
the
Earl
Hans
Jones.
Zimmer.
the
Hans
music,
Zimmer,
the beautiful hand-painted background.
You
Yeah.
watch the new one and there is a part of your brain that goes, lions wouldn't do this. But you don't think that with the anime.
Exactly.
You're not sitting there
Exactly.
going, lions can't
Yeah.
sing and
Yeah.
dance. What am I doing
Right.
sitting
You
here?
never think
This
about
isn't
that.
real.
Because you're
Yeah.
already in a different sense
Yep.
of disbelief,
Yep.
right? Because
Yeah.
you're watching a hand-drawn person animated. It looks like it was created with love. Like I have the 4Ks of Aladdin, of The Lion King, of The Little Mermaid. You can still see pencil sketches.
I know, man.
Over those drawings, and I'm like, that's the stuff. Even though
That's
people
the
might not
sauce.
realize that that's what is making it feel alive, the scratchiness, the unevenness of it, the sometimes the characters being off model, like some errors make you feel like all of this is just hand drawn and done with a very particular amount of love and passion for your craft. CG has that polished, glossy look where it's just like, I can't connect with this live action Dumbo because there's a mole coming off of his face.
I know.
And that's all I'm staring at. And I know he doesn't, but it's stuff like
Yeah.
that where it's just like, it's just a little
And-
bit too
and-
much. Like the characters in Lilo and Stitch.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say they were the cutest because they weren't. They were a little bit gross to look at, like Jamba and Pleatley. But I didn't connect with them like I did with the silly and the goofiness, the Looney Tunes kind of style that they were in the OG movie. And so that I think that's the huge dissonance for me at least.
Yeah.
Because
And
I
that's why
can't
critics are also not praising them as well as, even if they're almost
Right.
a copy.
Right. And
It's,
in some senses, it's even harder
Yeah, of
to
course.
get to do it in CG and try to make it more technically accurate
Harder
to what
sell.
it should be.
Yeah.
But that's not what animation is about.
I still remember the example of Jon Favreau and whoever else was on that team that made Lion King, where they're like, well, our lions aren't crying because lions can't cry in real life. And it's like, you go,
Are you serious? Is
they
that a
can't
real
see-
thing?
Yes, you can look it up. I swear to God, you can look it up. The level of emotion,
Oh,
which is why
man.
when the Mufasa
man.
sequel prequel came out, they had the lions cry and they were a little bit more emotive. And you go, that's great. You took the note. But again, if you're making this movie and you're going, well, in real life, lions can't cry the way humans do. I go, they cannot talk and sing either.
Yeah, they also can't
This
have
is
family drama.
They're not Hamlet either.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
this is impossible.
Exactly. That's
What are we
crazy.
doing? You want to
That's
make a
weird.
documentary?
That's a crazy line to draw, by
is.
the way. Like
It
this
is.
is our line.
Yeah.
No emotions, just lions in a documentary.
Well, yeah, and
Yeah.
I think that's that to me ends up being sort of the problem with a lot of these things is they are concerned about being too realistic,
Yeah.
but also wanting to still be a fantasy film. And
Yeah.
I'm like, well, you got to pick a lane.
that doesn't make sense.
it's
doesn't.
really like it's not every director is able to walk that line easily. There's only a few. Some of the ones I think of are guys like Richard Donner, Steven Spielberg. Not everyone is those directors.
Yeah.
And, I love Jon Favreau. And I thought what he did with Iron Man was amazing and a lot of his other movies.
Let me give you another one.
Yeah.
Matt Reeves.
Matt Reeves.
Because
Jesus, those Apes movies.
Apes movies in those
Good
films
Lord.
are designed
Yeah.
in a live action world, and they're designed to be real in a sense, like at the animation level. And part of it is because yes, they're getting performances that are motion captured from, but they're still being animated.
Yeah.
Their textures,
Right,
and
right.
they're still the way that they move. They'll do things that a human can't do because it's a CG character. And that was another one of my notes for the Lilo and Stitch movie is that if you watch the animated film, all of the characters and all the people move in a cartoony way, but it's fluid and beautiful and cool. Even the humans and even the aliens, they all kind of move the same way. You get to the live action movie and the opening is with all the CG aliens and they're acting as though they're CG animated characters in a CG animated movie, like a Pixar movie. Okay. Right?
I literally
Yes.
thought the movie was going to be animated.
The whole thing, right?
The whole
right.
thing. And I'm
then-
like, oh, this is just a
and
CG
then-
movie. And then it goes to
No.
live action. I went,
But then when we get to Hawaii,
what?
we
What
get to
just
Hawaii.
happened?
Jumba and Pleakley, they still move as though they're in an animated movie.
Right.
And I'm like, you got to be moving like Andy Serkis in Planet of the Apes.
Yeah.
You got to be moving like Thanos.
Are
in
those
an
the guys that
Avengers
turn
movie.
into Zach Galifianakis?
Yes.
And, okay.
You see, and then when they turn into their human forms, I'm like, they're not flailing around wildly because I'm like, they're regular humans in a. So either animate Jumba to move like Zach Galifianakis to begin with, or make the whole movie CG, or don't do this.
I thought that was so jarring when it went from a fully CG animated looking movie to them being live action. I went, this doesn't fit.
Yeah.
They need to either look like Planet of the Apes or not.
Well,
I don't know.
We're coming up on, we're almost 5 minutes from the end of the first hour. Do you want to get to some of these comments and then we can jump into the second hour?
I think we have a few super chats.
What do we got?
Yeah, let's get into some.
Oh, there we go. Look at that. Producer Mark on it.
I know.
The lives are back from Senator. Thank you so much for that $2 super chat.
I think a lot of people don't know because maybe not a lot of people went over to the Chexicans channel.
Right.
Senny, for every episode we went live on, first chat always and first super chat was always Senny.
Yeah.
So thank you, Senny. We
Thank you so
appreciate you.
much.
We love you.
Senny.
We remember you. You're awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Oh, we got another one.
I am Jax 12 with a $5 super chat. Little off topic, but James Cameron bought the rights to Joe Abercrombie's book, The Devils, co-writing the script with Abercrombie.
I don't know anything about the Devils, but I did see that he's going to be writing it as he's finishing Avatar 3. And my question is, when are you going to finish 4, 5, and 6, and how long am I going to have to wait for them? Because if you're going to start writing this, and you're going to delay the rest of the Avatar movies, let Joe do it on his own.
I also don't know how far he is in writing the Avatar movies.
I would hope. Well, at this point, actually, at this point, I think they're mostly written because he's been shooting things.
They better be written.
That's what I'm saying. I'm hoping they're all written at this point.
Producer Mark he's actually been shooting some of them too.
Producer Mark knows for a fact they've already been written. They better have been because the first one came out in 2009.
Yeah.
So 4, 5, okay, mostly written. All right. My question is, are they going to bring in Fitch to help out Abercrombie? Otherwise, this ain't going to work.
Yeah. If they don't bring in Fitch, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, that's cute. But
Fitch or Stitch?
Talk to me when Fitch comes in. Yeah, Abercrombie and Lilo and Fitch. Dakota Jones with a $1.99 super chat says, Adam,
it's a good question.
Frankenstein, Del Toro, thoughts?
We have not seen the trailer because when the Tadum event was happening, we were at the Predator Killer of Killers premiere.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we haven't seen it yet, but we did get to go to a Netflix preview.
We did the
4
preview
or 5 months ago.
Yeah.
And we got to see, it was like a 2-minute clip, sizzle reel. It looks
with
incredible.
an intro of Guillermo del Toro inside
his house.
In his Frankenstein den in his house.
Yeah,
He's got like
so
a 7-foot
cool.
statue of Frankenstein in his house. It's so
I
cool.
am going to do everything in my power to try to get Tio Guillermo on this podcast.
on this show. That would be
Listen,
great.
we got to hook up.
Netflix is down the street.
Yep. We're going to go knock on their door.
Yeah.
All right.
I will
Even
kick
if
the door
we
down.
have to go do the podcast there,
I will do
for
it
sure.
in Guillermo's Frankenstein office.
Oh, yeah.
That would be so sick.
Yeah, that would be really
Producer
rad.
Mark's getting some ideas. Interesting.
You son of a bitch. But yeah, so
Producer Mark's like, Guillermo's godfather of my dog.
One
Okay,
second.
great.
I have his
No
number.
problem.
Let me get him.
But yeah, so we haven't seen the trailer yet, but the preview that we saw looked amazing. I am with the internet. I desperately want this to get a theatrical limited run. Please.
Yeah.
Please.
All right.
Those are my thoughts.
I agree.
Save your thoughts. That was just for Adam. So
I did.
No,
I am going to say that I'm not going to say what I saw, but I really liked what I saw.
Yeah.
You could tell it's done with a lot of love. Like Guillermo makes everything with a lot of love.
on.
A lot of love, a lot of passion. But the way he talked about in that intro that he gave us to the footage, he talked about how much he loves Frankenstein. And this is a project that he's been wanting to do ever since
Cut
he's
to
become
his live office. You're like, yep.
Yeah.
he's always this is the story he's always wanted to tell. And so I am so ready for this. I haven't seen the thing yet, so we'll see. Hopefully it's not just all footage that we've already seen.
Hopefully not.
Yeah.
Speak123 has given us $4.99
Oh shit.
euros.
Speak is back. Hey dude.
Speak. Said, got my brown belt in BJJ.
Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Hector.
Whoa.
Holy shit.
Congratulations.
That's
man.
awesome.
Yo, either one of those would have been impressive. Either one, either Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or the other thing. BJJ, a brown belt. Damn, dude,
Hector
you're
knows
good.
all about it. Tell me about it, Hector. Hector,
that's
where does
skills.
the brown belt fall in the line of
You don't
belts?
want to know. You don't want to know. At that level, it's just about finishing quickly.
At that
you
point,
know what I mean? You're done
at that
in
point,
2
you're
minutes.
disappearing like Goku when he fights.
Oh my
You're just
God. Amazing. Amazing.
One punch knockouts.
man.
Yeah.
So is Speak123 Brazilian?
No.
Is this? Oh, well, I don't know.
British.
Okay, well then what is it? So that's the €4.99.
I think Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is only available in Brazil.
Dan better be. No, it's of course not only available in Brazil. That's sick. That now I want Speak 1 2 3 to get into a fight with some bloke in England, and then he busts out Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and this guy's gonna be like, "Oh mate, what's that, mate? I don't even know.
It's that Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Stop it! Oh,
you
no.
brown belt?
Run!" It's just like. Bad news for you. I know Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, mate.
You don't even know.
Boy, you don't even know. But they said, no question. They just said, catching you guys live is still the best thing that happened this week so far. My life is good. Real good. Excellent. Thank you so much, Speak 1 2 3, for the €4.99. Is that it? Is that all of our super chats?
That's all the super chats.
Hey,
for now.
all right.
That's great.
Amazing.
But we also had another topic we wanted to talk about.
Oh yeah, many topics.
Many topics.
Did we talk about Killer of Killers yet?
Not yet.
No.
Oh, okay.
We haven't gotten into that. Obviously, that's going to be a no spoiler review.
Yeah.
We had a very special chance to see it. Part of the reason why why Dan was here is because he invited us to go to the special screening of it. What was that fest called? Was it?
It was at the
Beyond
American
Fest.
Cinematheque for Beyond Fest.
For Beyond Fest, right?
If you guys have never done Beyond Fest and you're in the LA area, it's really, really cool. They showcase a lot of really great films, a lot of like really great genre stuff, and they sometimes will revisit older movies that are celebrating anniversaries. I think most recently they did Speed, and they had Keanu and Sandra Bullock there. So they like to do talks and bring in the filmmakers. It's really cool. I highly recommend checking it out if you're ever in the area. And the Egyptian theater is beautiful.
It's rad. The Egyptian is really intimate.
Very.
It's got this cool little space outside. There's a Netflix merch shop right next door to it, because I think Netflix is an owner now, right? Yeah. So they own the Egyptian at this point.
That's cool.
So we got to see it in a very special way. There was like a 9-foot tall statue of one of the Predators there that we got to take a picture of. I got to take one of my buddies who's a Predator cosplayer, who's super excited.
The perfect person to bring.
The perfect person to bring. He was at another festival there, and he got to show off his Predator cosplay for Arnold. And Arnold came up to him and was like, "Yo, you do this fantastic. You look fantastic.
You look fantastic. You are one ugly motherfucker."
Arnold took a selfie with him. It was great.
Cool.
Like it was really, really great.
And then there was an actor from the original Predator there too, who your buddy chatted with.
Exactly.
So cool.
Oh my God, who did he play? Anyways, and also Amber Midthunder was there.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Everybody
She's
was
awesome.
starstruck when she walked into the room. You guys,
She's awesome.
I saw Novocaine when it came out earlier this year, and I loved it. I thought it was so good. She's great. And then I rewatched Prey.
Yeah.
We saw Killer of Killers on Saturday night, and I rewatched Prey that morning. And that movie, if you have not seen Prey, by the way, I don't know what you're doing with your time.
Yeah.
But you absolutely must see it.
Mark's on it. He's on it.
Yeah, Mark.
He's got
you
it.
must
That's a must
see
watch.
Prey before you see Predator Killer of Killers. Without question. And not thankfully, but it's only an hour and 42 minutes long, so it's not the longest movie in the world. And then to do that back to back with Killer of Killers this weekend, I think is like the most choice thing you can do.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was really great, really great to see her. We also were lucky enough that beforehand we got to go to this little pre-mixer event.
Oh yeah.
Which was really cool. They had like food and drinks,
They
which I
fed
was
us.
not
They gave us
expecting at all.
drinks. It was great.
Yeah.
And as we were kind of beginning to wrap up and we were getting to ready to leave, I think you, Hector, pointed out that Dan Trachtenberg was actually on the other side of the room
I was
for
like,
us.
oh, that's Dan. He's over there.
Yeah, and Hector's like, we should go say hi to him.
We were all nervous.
So we were a little nervous because I've talked to Dan very briefly in DMs.
Yeah.
But I've never met him in person. And we had already been planning on having him on the podcast. So we're like, okay, let's formulate a plan on how we're going to approach him. So we walk around. Before we even turn the corner, he's like coming towards us. He's like, guys.
He did a really cool thing where he's like, hey, he came to us. And it really
And
felt
here's
really
what
really
I
cool.
realized after: he left a conversation with Amber Midthunder to come and talk to us. Dude.
Yeah, if you
he
don't
was
remember,
talking to Amber.
He put his hand out and he was like, get out of my way.
No.
I gotta talk to these nerdy boys over here.
He put
Hang
his
on.
index
No.
finger in her mouth.
She was like, so anyway, and he's like, Amber, stop. I gotta talk to these
I
idiots.
gotta talk to these nerds over here.
He did not.
But it was cool. We got
awesome.
to chat with him briefly.
Yeah.
And then we went to the screening. And then I stuck around actually after and got to talk to him for a little bit more after the screening.
Too. Oh,
Yeah.
you did? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Very cool.
So, and he was excited to come on, and then he got sick, unfortunately.
That's
so
okay.
unfortunate.
But it's okay.
We'll
We're gonna
have
have him
him
on.
out.
We'll have the chair warm for him.
Yeah.
Like he's welcome on the show.
I'm gonna bring my
Absolutely.
Blu-rays to get signed.
Oh,
believe
yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Believe
of course.
me.
Of
Yeah.
course.
Believe you me.
Spoilers, we're going to
Also-
do a giveaway.
So really briefly talk about Killer of Killers. Just give us a quick non-spoiler your thoughts on it, and then we'll hop into the next stuff.
absolutely an essential move in the right direction for the Predator franchise.
Hell yeah. And I agree with Kenson in the chat, by the way, saying Hard Truth, Prey is the second best movie in the franchise, arguably the best in the franchise.
I would say that it's the best in the franchise, honestly.
I agree.
Honestly.
And for me, Killer of Killers is either my first or second favorite now.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's awesome.
I mean, everybody knows I'm an animation guy. Obviously, animation is already going to have like 4 steps above anything else that you create already. But the fact that I was worried about how we were going to tie all of these ages, all of these different times into the movie, and the things that he kind of tied into it, I think were expertly done. I feel like we saw some things, we saw some Predators do things that and have weapons that we've never thought about before, which I think were really rad. But also like the just the straight up action of it all was super, super well done. The whole time I kept thinking about Gendy Tartakovsky, and I was like, this is like Gendy style action. This is really cool. Like it's not action and like blood for action and blood's sake.
Right.
Whenever the blood and the brutality comes around, it really kind of showcases the savageness of what the Predators can do and what these people are up against, because it's crazy. It's really crazy.
It also, for each of the different eras they focus on, the Predator and the action like deals thematically with what we're dealing with.
Exactly.
Was such a payoff, dude.
Yeah.
I so many times watching Killer of Killers, I was like, oh my God, this means this.
Yes.
This Predator attack means this to this human character.
Yes. Exactly.
And I was like, that's beautiful.
Exactly.
And it's emotional. And it's and the animation is stellar.
Absolutely.
And like you're saying, even the action, even before Predator comes into the story, there's some Viking action. And we were like, with this wonder, we were like, holy shit, this is sick. It's so good.
Even if it was just a story based on the human characters that were in this series, I would watch the shit out of all of them.
If it was just an anthology movie that was
just
like warriors through time, I'd be like, great, this
just
rips.
hero warriors throughout time. I'd watch the shit out of that.
I agree.
It was great.
I agree. And I think for me, like the big strength of it was, well, I think a lot of it also has to do with now watching Killer of Killers, you're starting to see what sort of like the objectives can be with this franchise and what the hopes are for this franchise. And I think that's really exciting. And I think it's exciting that we're able to showcase all the different things, like you're saying, what the Predator species can do and how they can use different technology in different ways, even if it's the same piece of tech used differently by a different Predator. I think is really, really cool. And that's something that after rewatching Prey, I thought was really exciting, was to see, oh, okay, cool. Now we're recontextualizing and we're giving a new perspective on how Predators battle, how they fight, but also what their own objectives are. Like it's clearly talked about in some of the other movies, but I feel like now with Dan taking over this franchise with Prey and into Killer of Killers, you're really starting to understand the mythology of the Predator species, which I wasn't sure if I would want or need.
Exactly.
Because a lot of times I'm like, now we're over explaining this. Now we're doing too much mythology, too much lore. But I think with what this animated film showcases and how it ties everything together was so strong, and I loved watching it. The action was great, and it just makes me excited for what's to come next, rather than being like, I think I'm good. I don't think I need anything else. Now I'm like, cool. Whatever you do next, Dan, I'm all in. Whatever and I was also really happy to hear from the panel that, and because this was a worry for me, and I think for all of us, when Disney was going to buy 20th Century, was it was going to dismantle everything that was good about 20th Century and just kind of Disneyfy everything. And the thing that I thought was really refreshing to hear was that 20th Century Studios basically told Dan and his team, whatever you want to do, as long as it's within reason, we'll back you. And I think that's really cool, because Alien and Predator, those two franchises, I think the way that I felt about some of those previous movies and projects is lots of guardrails and lots of, well, there's a lot of expectations, so we got to do this. We got to make sure that the audience is given these things.
I know people didn't like Alien Romulus. I really dug it. And
I dug it.
There's a lot of elements that I really liked.
Act 3 was wild, and I went, this feels like there's no guardrails. And I felt the same thing with Prey. But I know with the conversations we were having that Saturday night with some of our friends and stuff and just hanging out was like, well, Prey was as awesome as it was because it was a streaming only.
Right.
If it had been a theatrical thing, there would have been too much pressure, too many eyeballs on it, too many producers, too many people, well, it's got to make this because we need to make this amount of money. But because it's streaming, no guardrails in a sense. And I think it led to the best possible story, other than, of course, budgetary reasons.
Right,
If you listen to the commentary on that movie, it's like Dan would be like, well, originally we planned this, but then we kind of had to whittle it down. And I think the story's better for it.
Yeah.
All that stuff is still there. But yeah, dude, Killer of Killers is great.
Yeah.
And dude, what momentum to go into Predator Badlands this year.
Yeah.
Jesus.
I'm super excited.
So there was a panel afterwards. The way Dan described the next movie.
Oh my God.
He's like, it's a full lunch or something like
Full
that.
meal.
Oh, it's a full meal, full course meal. I was like, I've never heard anybody describe a movie like that. What do you mean?
But then he also said, he goes, after Prey, he goes, they had 3 ideas.
Yeah.
Killer of Killers was one of them. Predator Badlands was the other. We don't know what this is yet.
Undisclosed, exciting project that he's talking about.
Juicy.
We might have an idea.
Juicy.
We can't say anything.
Nope, say nothing.
We might have an idea, but nobody else knows. And so I just love the fact that Dan seems to have the direction. He's like the Kevin Feige of the Predator franchise right now.
Which is so cool.
Which is rad to be like that guy, to know and direct where this amazing franchise that is ripe with just good ideas and stories to go. And I feel like it's going in a really good direction.
I mean, the visual,
really
the visuals not only in Prey, but also in Killer of Killers. But then that Badlands teaser trailer, I was like, this looks amazing.
The hat he was wearing?
For sure.
Yeah,
Wait,
of course I saw.
hat?
Of course I saw.
Hell
We
yeah.
got to talk to him when he
Which
comes on.
that was also fun because, the moderator at Beyond Fest was trying to, get some answers, but Dan's like,
not tonight.
Skirting around.
Not
I'm
right now.
going this way, which I thought was
Yeah, it
great.
was
So
really
I'm
great.
hoping that if we don't get Dan in the very near future, in the next few weeks or month, I almost want to just wait till Badlands comes out.
Yeah, maybe.
And then
maybe.
to be like, Dan, let's get
Let's
into
do
it
it.
all.
Let's
We'll
get the
get cue
reunion.
cards.
Hey,
we'll get a
listen.
whiteboard. We'll do it all.
¿Por qué no los dos? Let's get
Oh,
them
that's
now
true. That's
and
true.
for
Hey, shit,
Badlands.
that's what
He
I
could be
want,
our
but I
first
don't know.
recurring,
There we go.
Right?
recurring
I know.
guy that comes on the
Well,
show.
guys, let's go into our next hour. The conversation we wanted to have. Adam, you laid out a really awesome calendar. Let's just talk about the summer movies this year. Badlands is not quite there. That's going to be in the fall and the winter. But go ahead and pull up what we
I'm gonna
have.
pull it up
because I know we can get our teeth into some of these topics
Well,
and some
unfortunately,
others.
the first one that I was going to go see last night and I didn't because we were prepping for today was Ballerina.
Oh, cool. That's
So,
already out? I thought that's
comes
not
out on
till
June
this.
6th.
Yes.
Oh,
Comes
okay.
out this Friday.
So let's
Okay,
just run
cool.
down the list real quick.
yeah.
Okay.
And then we'll pick and choose whatever we want to talk about. Just
Sure.
for our completionist
Let's go.
brains.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah.
go.
June 6th, Ballerina. Just
Not
like you said.
interested.
Really?
Yeah, man.
Wait, you don't like John Wick?
I don't love John Wick. I like John Wick
I
movies.
love John
I don't
Wick.
love him.
Whoa.
I don't love him. I think that's
So save that one to watch it for the channel then.
Sure, but listen,
Save that one to watch
I think
for the
that
channel.
first John Wick is lean and mean, and I think
Yeah.
it's the best one. And I think they
And then it gets
just
myth heavy.
yes, you see, you know what I'm talking about. It gets
Yeah.
a little too.
The only reason I give
TikTok-
John Wick a pass.
TikTok, Mr. Wick. Every homeless man in New York is also part of this. I'm like,
I think the reason I
it's
give
fine.
the John
It's
Wick
fine.
movies a pass is
It's
because
fine.
it is so absurd.
It is.
Yeah,
it is.
that's why I
It's-
give it a
It's
pass.
Fast and Furious level. Hector
Okay.
plus. Hang on. Hector minus Hector equals. Gru. Hector is truth. Thank you. That was a roller coaster. I didn't know what Mark
But he
was
also
trying
doesn't
to
like
say.
the Fast and the Furious. So
Yeah.
you're going to trust that
He
man.
also
too.
doesn't
That's
like
just
Fast
okay.
and
It's all right.
Furious.
It's all right.
That's true.
It's okay. Anyway.
Okay, let's get through this list
but-
first.
But the other thing about Ballerina is you guys saw the news about, hey guys, if you have a negative opinion about the movie for all the influencers, please don't share. But if you have a
Who said
positive,
that?
the company.
No
But if-
way.
Yes, but if you have a positive take on the movie, feel free to share ahead of time.
Is that how it was worded, though?
I don't know. I'm paraphrasing, but this is, hey man, if
I
people
don't
are
know
allowed to
anything
do that
about
for the
that.
ending of Lilo and Stitch, I'm allowed to do this for this.
Yeah.
This was the story that got released. And I maybe saw
Interesting.
the copy paste of what the actual like information was for this sort of
I think the version that I saw, it
Yeah.
definitely leaned towards
Yeah.
being more positive.
correct. Which
Which I'm like,
Doesn't
don't
instill-
do that.
don't do
Just
that.
let people say what they want.
Don't do it. I know.
Otherwise, don't invite people to these things.
listen, I love Ana de Armas, but
Can I say something?
of course, she's a great actor.
Of course.
Favorite Ana de Armas movie might be Knives Out. Her performance might be like
I really love. Well, yeah. I mean, full performance,
Yeah,
Knives Out, but
yeah.
I love her in Blade Runner 2049.
oh, she's really good in that too.
Yeah.
Damn, she's really good. And I like No Time to Die, and she's in that a little bit.
Oh, she is good.
and I
enough,
thought
yeah.
that would have been cool if it was like her and the new 007 and Money Penny
I mean, it's
continue the
basically
franchise.
Ballerina.
But I know. So anyway, Not interested. We'll wait.
Okay.
No big deal.
List. Before our
Go.
opinions, we're gonna do lists.
Oh,
Yeah.
do the whole list?
Yeah, we're gonna do the whole
I thought you
list.
were gonna
Just so we know
We're
what.
just gonna read out the things,
Got
and then
it.
you just pick and choose what you want to see,
Got
or
it.
what you're good with. Okay, so Ballerina, June 6th. The Life of Chuck, June 13th.
So stoked.
Okay. How to Train Your Dragon, also June 13th. Competitors, okay. Materialists, also June 13th. Then we have 28 Years Later.
Okay.
Very much looking forward to that
Hell
one. That's
yeah.
on June 20th.
Mhm.
Elio is June 20th. F1 is
Elio.
June 27th.
Elio.
Um,
F1. Okay.
Yeah, Superman, July. Obviously, Superman is the one we're looking forward
I
to.
think I'll see it.
There's another Smurfs movie coming out.
Bro.
Oh,
Who
Lordy.
asked for this?
July 18th, first day. Watch for that one. Eddington, July 18th.
What?
Eddington?
Eddington.
The Ari Aster movie?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Cool,
New
cool,
COVID movie with Papacito Pedro?
Yes.
cool.
Fantastic Four, July 25th.
I'll see
Happy
it.
Gilmore 2,
cool. Okay. Keep going.
July 25th. The Naked Gun.
That trailer is
That's interesting.
wild.
Weapons, August 8th. Barbarian. Oh, no, wait. That's from the director of Barbarian. Sorry. Freakier Friday.
Okay.
Nobody Part 2, August 15th. And The Toxic Avenger, August 29th.
All right.
Oof. We don't have to give our opinion about each one.
I
Yeah.
will. Let's go back up to the top. Let's hit it. Let's hit that. Let's hit that top. Let's
Do
go.
it, do it, do it, do it, do
One
it.
I could do one sentence.
Yeah,
Most
it's
of them are
easy.
going to be like, I'm not interested, but I'll see it on a plane, or I'll eventually
Should we do
see
like
it.
an Aurelius?
Kind of, yeah. Go, but
Aurelius
we do need a little bit of
thumbs up.
context
Okay.
for
Yeah.
some of them. That
Okay,
Because
so-
I'm excited about most of these.
Okay,
truthfully.
great.
Okay, so Life of Chuck, you said you didn't have any interest.
But
oh, you did have interest.
I do, and I love Mike Flanagan.
Okay.
Will I get to it in a theater? I hope so. But if
Yeah.
not, I have a feeling I will love this film.
Adam so
So, I'm
expertly
excited.
in the notes put not a horror movie, but
Yeah.
it's a Stephen King book.
It is.
Yeah.
And in rare form, well, not super rare form, because not everything that Stephen King has done is exclusively horror.
Uh-huh.
But this is one of those movies that's supposed to be very lighthearted, very positive,
Life affirming.
life affirming.
I
Yeah.
see.
And
Okay.
with the combination of Mike Flanagan, I love
And that
Mike Flanagan
cast.
stuff. Hush, I just watched recently for the first time. I love that movie.
You ever see Jerry's Game?
I have not.
Gerald's Game, whatever it's called. One is the Pixar short. The other one is the Mike
I was going to
Mike
say
Flanagan
that's
movie,
the
yeah.
Pixar short. What are you talking about?
I think it's
No, not good.
Jerry's Game. Anyway, good.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Scary, good.
Yeah.
Good.
So like everything that I've seen from Mike Flanagan so far, I've really enjoyed. I'm stoked that they're making his Clayface movie. So the combination of that,
he said, by the way, is
Yeah.
basically inspired by
the
Batman
animated series, yeah, which I'm like, say
Yeah,
less.
dude.
Come on,
Yeah,
what are we doing
yeah,
here?
for
Yeah.
sure. For sure.
But yeah, that combination with Tom Hiddleston, the whole cast, and it's like a 3-part story in one movie. I'm super excited to see.
Okay. All right. I don't know anything about it, so I'm going to
You should watch the trailer. I think you would
default
really
to you
enjoy
guys
it,
on
yeah.
that one. Okay. So the next big one is How to Train Your Dragon, June 13th.
Wait.
which-
Next big one. Is that
Well, no,
directly
I mean,
after?
that's the next one. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because they come out on
It's
the
a
same
big,
day.
I'm saying it's a big one because for me, it
yeah.
carries a lot of weight.
I'll watch it and I'll go see it in 3D. And
I'm going to give it a shot.
we shall see.
Give it a
Bruce
shot.
Marchianing.
Well, you know what? Like what's happened with Lilo and Stitch, I'm now watching the animated show on Disney Plus.
Right.
I watched Lilo and Stitch 2, Stitch Has a Glitch, which I never saw. And it's pretty damn good. The animated movie. So just
Okay.
like revisiting the franchise, this is going to make me want to watch all the How to Train Your Dragon movies again.
Yes.
Great. I love
Yeah.
doing that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about that.
So excited. Have you seen the originals?
I've seen the first one, but I haven't
Okay.
seen the second.
Yeah, we
two.
saw the first
Oh.
one together in 3D and
That's
put it
right,
on our
we
channel.
did. No,
Didn't we?
No,
we
that
did.
was
That was
Kung
Kung
Fu
Fu
Panda.
Panda.
Oh, yeah, that was
You said that
okay.
last time too.
Yeah.
You got me
well,
confused.
Well,
So I have that apprehension that we talked about earlier,
Mhm,
but I'm
So we
I'm
need to
gonna go
finish
into it
off
with an
the
open
series.
mind.
then.
Yeah.
We need to finish off the
Yeah,
series.
yeah.
Okay, cool. The next one is Materialists.
what is this?
Materialists is a modern romantic comedy with Pedro Pascal, Chris Evans,
Oh.
and Dakota Johnson.
I'm going to wait for the reviews on this
Adam,
one.
What did I write in
Adam's
there?
notes were Captain America, Madame Web, and Reed Richards are horny.
Yep.
I like you pronounce it Madame Web.
Madame
like
Web.
she,
She
like
is now, though.
she runs a brothel.
Who cares?
Madame Web.
Who cares?
But
They're
I've actually,
horny.
heard, I've actually heard
interesting.
really positive things about it, and I really like these 3 actors. So I think because I am getting older, unfortunately, I'm also just excited to tackle different types of movies
Sure.
because I feel like a lot of my time is consumed by superhero stuff, and I'm liking like dabbling in other stuff that I don't normally dabble.
Yeah.
in.
Let me
It's
be
not
real
a
with
movie
you.
that I would normally.
Yeah, right.
I need
Go
to
for
do
it.
that more.
But because
Yeah.
it's Chris Evans, Dakota Johnson, and
Yeah.
Pedro Pascal, I'm more inclined to go see.
yeah.
it.
Let me be real with you guys. I think Pedro Pascal is a fantastic actor.
Mhm.
I think Chris Evans is a great actor, and he has moved me, and he's also hilarious, and I think he's super charming. Dakota Johnson, Never done it for me.
Really?
Never. I need to watch
Oh.
more stuff that she's in.
Yeah.
She's
But-
great in Peanut Butter Falcon.
Okay, I haven't seen that.
Yeah.
That
I
Shia
did
LaBeouf
see
movie.
that.
I need to
Okay,
watch
I thought
that.
she was good in that.
Yeah,
But but I also feel like maybe I'm off, but I think that her strong personality, and she has a very strong personality. And not that she's typecast, but it's sort of just like she's going to be that way in most of the roles that she plays. Whereas I feel like other actors could maybe be a bit more of chameleons. Hector equals truth. But and I also, and this is unfair, but she also, like in interviews and stuff, rubs me the wrong way.
Really?
Yeah, I loved how she confronted Ellen. Don't get me wrong. That was great. Okay. Truth, like we got to speak truth to power. But so many of the interviews and stuff that she's done, and it's not just because like she didn't give a shit about comic book stuff and then she's doing a comic book movie, but even everything else, she has kind of a bluntness and sort of like my take is I've seen her say stuff in interviews that I'm like, damn, dude, only an attractive white lady could get away with what she's saying right now. If there was a young black actor saying the same thing, they would get torn to shreds, dude. But she has a kind of a very flippant, kind of just like, whatever sort of attitude. And I'm like, damn, dude, there are people struggling in this industry, champing at the bit to get roles, to get seen, to get, you know, and I'm like, ugh, it's unfair. It's not her acting ability. That's not her. But, you know, when I see her on screen, I can't help but like think about Dakota Johnson, where I'm just like, oh boy, this is just, I mean, maybe.
People in the chat are just straight up saying Nepo baby.
I want to give
Straight
Nepo
up.
babies a fair shot because some Nepo babies are good.
Some
Some are good
Some.
because there's talented people and
Yes.
talent is passed on.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
passionate
I
people
just
and
got an
passionate
email that
passed on.
Steven Spielberg's daughter's got a new horror
Cool,
movie coming
dude.
out. And I'm like, I hope it's good.
Cool, dude, I'm open to it. But
Yeah.
if you're a Nepo baby, like be like Jack Quaid.
Right?
Work your
Jack
ass
Quaid
off,
is great.
bro. Like
Yeah.
make me root for you.
change
Yeah.
your last name.
For real. Do you think Dakota Flemington or whatever would have had the career?
Dakota
I don't know,
Banderas.
dude.
You're like, well, I
Dakota
don't know.
Banderas? Maybe. People would have been like, you can't have that last name.
That's
Anyways.
only one person ever can have that last name.
Yeah.
Yes, Puss in Boots.
Next project, 28 years later.
Yeah,
Jesus
for sure.
Christ.
Whoa.
So stoked.
for sure.
Crazy.
For sure.
Crazy.
Is it going to
stoked.
go the route of Zoolander 2 and Dumb and Dumber 2?
Don't you dare.
Is it? I'm asking.
I mean,
Well,
I'm just
I hope
saying.
not. There were some folks who saw the first 28 minutes in New York.
That's fun.
I just realized that.
That's really fun.
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't even you read it. You're like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
They
that's
saw
cool.
the
Oh,
first
20 minutes, great.
And then you say it out loud. You're like,
Wow, son of a
duh.
bitch. And the word has been very strong and positive. So I'm really hoping that it captures a lot of what I really enjoyed in that first film. And honestly, because we rewatched the first two, there's a lot that I found in 28 Weeks Later that I also surprisingly enjoyed.
Yeah.
That I thought was
Yeah.
really strong.
Me
Absolutely.
too, dude.
On the
Yeah.
rewatch,
Yeah.
I remember in the first initial watch not really enjoying the movies.
Yeah.
I remember 28 weeks later, the opening was really the only thing I remembered because
Yeah.
it caught me so off guard. But I know
then-
Hector hated it.
But then we were like, Jeremy Renner.
Yeah, I know. I was like, what?
Idris Elba.
Idris Elba, Jeremy Renner? What's going on
Yeah,
here?
that's cool.
So yeah, I on the rewatch, those movies are much better than
Yeah.
I remember them.
Solid trilogy.
So I have high hopes for this movie, but it's again 20 years later. What
Sure.
are we doing? Like,
Yeah.
The
is this
good
gonna
news
be
is that talent that is
Danny
involved.
Boyle, Alex
absolutely,
Garland.
You know, so
but Jim
yeah.
Carrey also came back for Dumb and
I
Dumber
know,
2.
dude. I know.
know.
I know.
So
I know.
you know, like, is just because the
Yeah,
talent's there
yeah.
doesn't mean the sauce is there.
It's like this. Look, if I see a theatrical, by the way, I don't like that unrated version, but if I see a theatrical Blu-ray of Dumb and Dumber by itself, I'll buy it. If they do a 2-pack or a 3-pack with the Dumb and Dumber movies, I'm like not interested.
Yeah,
Me
frankly.
too.
those two
Right?
are that
But
bad.
I'll still buy the original. Now with
yeah.
28 days, 28 weeks later, if this new one is solid and they do a 3-pack and a 1 slim pack Blu-ray,
Well, hold on.
I'm gonna buy it.
If this one does well, they got
Yeah.
2 more that they're doing.
right.
Dude, then
They
I'll
got
wait
a
for the
whole-
box
Yeah.
set.
Yeah.
But like if this one sucks it, I would still be into getting 28 days, 28 weeks later as,
For sure.
as its own 2-pack
sure.
Blu-ray. If they put that out, a re-release, or if I can find it, which is
On
impossible.
eBay for $5,000.
too much money.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Yeah.
I'm not stressed. Like it's either going to be good or bad. We're cool. We're
Yeah.
good.
Okay.
A lot of faith. Shout out really quick to Bad Medicine in the chat. They're another YouTube reaction channel.
Hey.
They're great. I talk to them on Patreon and on Instagram all the time.
Welcome,
What's
Bad
going
Medicine.
on?
What's up?
What's going on? Shout out to everybody in the chat. There's some
Yeah,
great
I know.
conversations.
28
There's some bangers
centuries
in the
later,
chat.
that's
Great,
the final. That's
great
the final
smart
one.
comments. Smart comments. People talk about Nepo babies. Somebody was defending Wyatt Russell. That's what I love to see. You know,
Yeah.
that's exactly the conversation. That was really great. And Louis had a great comment saying that George A. Romero's I think daughter
Yes.
is making a queer zombie movie.
Yes. I want to see
Cool.
that. I want to
Cool
see
as
that. I
hell.
want to see that.
Yeah.
Nepo babies, except Dakota Johnson for the win.
Also, really quickly, this
Yeah.
is just on my end, but
Yeah.
there's a dude named Mick Dudley in the chat.
Oh,
He's
yeah,
been all
Mick
over our
Dudley.
comments.
Yeah.
McDoodley.
He looks like one of my cousins.
Oh, really?
That's all right.
Every time I
Orale.
see him, I'm like,
Primo.
that looks like my cousin. I swear to God.
We all look alike.
Looks
Guys,
exactly
keep
the
talking.
same.
I got to figure out how to pay my meter for this.
Oh shit, that's right. I got to pay my
McDoodley
meter
is
too.
actually is one of our many members in our Discord who is a huge defender and fan of physical media.
Yeah.
Who has a Whatnot channel where he sells a lot of his inventory too. So if you're looking for some deals on some stuff, definitely check out McDoodley's Whatnot.
just like that picture of him in the chat right there, exactly
Yeah.
like my cousin. I'm just like, fuck, that's my cousin.
Very funny.
But orale, primo, that's the thing. I also need to pay my thing. But the next movie is F1, June 27th, from the director of Top Gun Maverick and Tron Legacy.
Yeah, so this is
a lot
from
of hype behind this.
This is from Joseph Kaczynski,
Yeah.
and I'm very unaware around the fan base of F1. It is fucking enormous. It is
Yeah.
huge,
Yeah.
gigantic. I went to a bachelor party last year.
Yeah.
We spent the whole weekend watching F1.
Really?
And
have you ever seen it before?
Yeah, like I've seen it bits and clips here and there.
Yeah.
And it is very fun to watch. It
Really?
is like edge of your seat stuff. So the thing that has me really excited is the fact that it is Joseph Kaczynski.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to assume he's applying a lot of what they did for Top Gun Maverick, where they put the cameras right in the car,
Okay.
put you right in the middle of the action. And I'm expecting a lot of that car stuff to look and feel incredibly like visceral. That's what I'm hoping for. At least.
I think you're right, because isn't there like a really huge VFX budget for this movie too? Something like that?
Probably.
I remember seeing something about there. Oh, it's the IMAX thing, right?
Yeah,
They're
because
shooting it all in
it's
IMAX.
all in IMAX.
Right.
Yeah.
My thing is that they took one of the posters and made it like the Akira posters.
Yeah,
Which is really fucking rad. I'm like, oh shit,
Yep.
that is gonna be the thing that makes me go watch this
Yeah.
in 70 millimeter or whatever IMAX.
It's
whatever
just digital
format.
IMAX, but yeah.
Either way,
Yeah.
I want to go watch this in the biggest format.
Totally.
possible.
Yeah. Like this, and I think in a couple weeks I'm gonna go to a screening,
Yeah.
and I think they're doing Dolby Cinema for that one. Or
Nice.
actually, no, it might be IMAX. Which I'm like, yeah, if you can go see this in an IMAX location with laser projection,
Yeah.
1000% do it. I think it's gonna be worth it because
Yeah,
when
I
I saw
think so.
Top Gun Maverick at Universal City Walk. Holy shit, that blew my brain apart. Because you're going into a sequel for a movie that came out almost 40 years ago.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, like, how are you gonna top that movie? Like, everything in that movie was so fun and so great. It's got the right level of cheese that you're looking for.
Mhm.
And then Top Gun Maverick did a lot of visual effects, but also a lot of practical stuff that I thought was really mind-blowing.
Mhm.
And just kind of leads into like what Mission Impossible has done. So I guess my hope is that for these movies that tackle this subject matter,
Mhm.
these things that sort of feel larger than life, put us in the driver's seat. I
Yeah.
think, was it you were telling me that you saw Gran Turismo?
Oh,
And
yeah.
you were like, not that great.
No, bad.
So I'm hoping that F1 does what Gran Turismo didn't do, which is like put us in the driver's seat.
Sure.
Make us feel like how the
There-
drivers feel.
There was a movie from the late 90s, early 2000s, directed by Sylvester Stallone
Mhm.
about this called Driven. And it was
Oh, I
about
haven't seen it,
Formula
yeah.
One racing. And there's multiple shots where you are from the perspective of the driver.
Mhm.
And those guys drive so fast that when it rains, they don't see rain coming down. They're just droplets there that they're hitting
Yeah.
on the visor. I remember
Crazy.
that. The movie itself was not great,
Mhm.
but some of the love for racing came through. It's
Yeah.
probably gonna be great. I feel like this is a perfect dad movie. I got to go see this with my
Totally.
dad.
Okay.
Gotta
Okay.
go
And,
see it.
yeah, you think about how much, back then they were shooting all that stuff on film. Now with digital cameras being the size that they are, where they can put them,
For sure.
full 360 view
sure.
of the whole thing.
Yeah, there was a lot of crappy CG in that Sylvester
Yeah.
Stallone movie that they had to you're driven and you go into the engine or whatever. Yeah. Awesome.
That's
Okay.
funny.
Cool.
Next movie on the docket is Jurassic. I might have missed this one.
You missed this one, yeah.
Jurassic World Rebirth, July 2nd.
Yeah.
Bro.
Man.
I'm reading The Lost World right now, Michael Crichton book.
Mhm.
I love the Jurassic franchise idea, but the Jurassic franchise kind of sucks, except for the original.
It's in the pits right now. They
Sure.
don't have a Dan Trachtenberg at the helm.
Right.
They
Yeah.
don't have
Right.
anybody. And I talked about this during
What
our
was my note on there
reactions.
really quick?
Wait, hold on. Why do these idiots keep going back?
Yep.
Basically, why are these idiots going back on the
Yep.
island? And that makes sense. That's a
Yeah.
very valid criticism. I talked about it in our reactions to the movies that are on Patreon. If you're if you want to watch them with us, watch them with us
Yeah.
because they're all on there. that these movies need that shot in the arm that Prey gave to the Predator franchise.
Could be this.
It
but
could
maybe
be.
not.
This movie, I will say these trailers do give me some of those similar vibes as the original movie. Obviously, nothing's ever going to touch it, but I'm trying to give it the biggest benefit of the doubt because I want it to be good. I want to fall in love with those dinos again.
Yeah. Well, I think the thing for me personally, after watching all 6 of those films, plus Cam Cretaceous and the short films, is scale it down. It's become too big. Like the Jurassic World of it has gotten too out of control.
Yeah.
And I think which feels like a natural way to think, is the progression of that sequel trilogy is to just go like bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And at a certain point, it goes so big that it's too convoluted. And I think what I like from what I'm seeing with Rebirth is that it's scaling back. It's a little bit of a simpler story.
Yeah.
It seems like these characters are going in there for a purpose. And as they're trying to exit, they're met with like this larger than life chaos, which is these dinosaurs.
Yeah.
In the middle of them probably rescuing some kind of a family that was there for whatever reason. So I like it that we're hopefully getting back to the more human pared down story of what is it like trying to survive.
The reason I compare the two franchises also is because the Predators, like the dinosaurs, like we're there for the mayhem and chaos they cause.
Right.
We're not necessarily there for their story.
Right.
We're there to see like the craziness that they bring.
Yeah.
We want to see these humans interact with all of that, with these larger than life, crazy, ultra deadly killers.
Little mythology, but a lot of action.
A little bit more action than mythology,
Yeah.
but also a heartfelt story. I think that's really kind of what's been missing from the franchise.
Prey doesn't even have that much dialogue.
Yeah, it really doesn't. And I think that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Ashley in the chat says, I haven't watched a single Jurassic movie. Might start watching them with the watch-alongs.
Dude,
That's fun.
Ashley,
There you go.
watch them with us.
That's
It's
fun.
the only way to watch
Yeah,
them.
we do the prologue
Yeah.
for Dominion, we do Battle of Big Rock, and we do
Yeah.
one season of Camp Cretaceous.
Everything
that's
you
true.
want to watch with Jurassic is on the it's on the Patreon.
Did you guys see
so.
that bit on Saturday Night Live? That young Latino guy who's playing a character that was like a New York City doorman, and he's like, "Guys, let me tell you what's gonna happen in this movie. At the beginning of the movie, everything is okay. The dinosaurs are in jail, but then they get out, and it's bad. And like that's basically every one of these movies.
pretty much,
every
pretty much.
single one
At
of
the
the
beginning,
movies.
everything is okay. Everybody's in jail. That's a good
That's
bit.
too funny.
And then it goes crazy.
Yeah.
Okay. The big show of the summer, Superman, July 11th.
Yeah.
I mean,
I feel like
yeah.
most of my thoughts are on the first episode that we did when
There
we
you go.
talked about everything, what our expectations and hopes are for
Yeah.
the future of DC and Superman.
Yeah.
That stuff still stands.
There you go.
Go watch that episode.
We'll probably have 12 more episodes after the movie
Yeah.
comes out based off
Yeah.
Superman. So yeah. Next is Smurfs. July
This,
18th.
I saw the trailer for this
Me too.
with
when I
Lilo
saw
and Stitch.
Yeah.
It
I didn't see it.
looks
Awful.
looks worse than the
Alvin and the
than
Chipmunks.
first.
With Neil Patrick
Yeah.
Harris.
Yeah. And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
this whole movie's going to be animated. Okay, I think a
Yeah.
couple years ago they did a Smurfs animated movie that was also theatrically released and it had no live action component. And I was like, okay, I guess this is just a reboot of that. And then plus, whoever they got, I think it's Rihanna to voice
It
Smurfette.
is, it
I'm like,
is.
she sounds really bad.
And Nick Offerman, I think, is not
Papa
Papa
Smurf,
Smurf, not
some
Papa
other
Smurf,
guy.
but the other.
But then
main
it's like
Smurf.
every one of these movies, it's like, and then they meet this Smurf, like
Yeah,
the
I'm
purple
like,
Smurf or whatever.
whatever.
And this movie looked so bad, and it had a fart joke, and it was the trailer before Lilo and Stitch. I was like, this is what I would point to for like, here's everything wrong with kids' movies.
Yes.
Mhm.
And it's such a bummer because I still like the original Smurfs animated like Hanna-Barbera cartoon show. It's great. This Eastern European, it's
Yeah.
great. It's great.
We need to do an episode of this podcast. Someone
Yeah.
write this down. Where
Yeah.
have all the good kid PG movies gone?
For sure.
Ooh,
For sure.
interesting.
It's tough.
Where are they?
Interesting.
It's tough. But yeah, it just looks really bad.
Looks so bad.
And
Yeah.
even at the
Oof.
level of, well, at least will it be like well animated? No, it wasn't. But you know what I think?
was-
I don't know if this is true. It might be a European film that's just like dubbed over because even the lip flaps, I'm like, weren't even.
Really?
I'm like, what?
Oh.
Where is this coming from?
Interesting.
You know, and a lot of sometimes those movies have come to North America and they've kind of snuck by
Mhm.
because people don't exactly clock it. Like there's some animated films from some studio that's never Disney or DreamWorks or Pixar, but it's always like, you know, it's not even Illumination, it's like something else.
Mhm.
And then it'll be like starring the voices of 16 celebrities.
Yeah.
And you go, hang on, I'm not even seeing a moment in this where a character's speaking and it looks correct.
And it's synced
It
up.
all
yeah.
feels ADR. It all
Yeah.
so it might be just like a really, hey, this Eastern European this country in Europe like animated this movie, and we're getting it over here, and we just redubbed it, and we're not even syncing
Jaime
it up.
brings up a good point. The
Looks
original
bad.
Smurfs was full of witchcraft. And
Yeah,
I
dude.
feel like I feel like
Gargamel.
none of that
Yeah.
like
I know.
mysticism
I
is
know.
like a part of I don't know.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
When they're like, oh, they get zapped again to a live action world, and I was like, this looks so bad. Anyway, I want Hanna-Barbera stuff to do well. I love
course.
Same.
Hanna-Barbera.
I
Are you
want all this
kidding me?
stuff to do well.
Yeah.
But that episode's going to be interesting because I have a lot of thoughts. I have a
We gotta
lot
do
of
some
thoughts.
research for that.
Okay.
Got to do some research, but I have a lot of thoughts because I don't think people are going to like what I have to say. But
Ooh.
next movie is Eddington, July 18th, an Ari Aster COVID movie. So what do you mean by COVID movie?
So
it's about
the premise of the
pandemic?
movie takes place within the first few months of the pandemic, and
cool.
it's about
Man.
a sheriff versus a mayor.
Oh.
The sheriff is Joaquin Phoenix. The mayor is Pedro Pascal,
Man.
and it's about a lot of butting heads.
I don't know
over
if
what's
I'm
What
ready
is
for
like
that
the
yet.
one of them wants to lock down the town and the other doesn't? Is
doesn't?
that what it's about?
We don't know.
Ah, shit.
Oh,
All right.
man.
Okay,
That might
man.
be too soon.
I'm very interested
I know,
because
man.
Ari Aster is great. I've liked a lot of his movies that he's done.
Yeah.
So really looking forward to that.
Yeah.
one.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I like I said, I don't think I'm ready for pandemic
Yeah.
movies, documentaries yet.
I know.
But it's
I'm
you know,
still
we're still dealing with all of that. And
Absolutely.
so if there's something
Isn't there like
really,
a new strain of COVID that just
dude.
yeah. There's a new strain
Yeah.
that is infecting people. Maybe that's why Dan's not here. Who knows?
Yeah, I
like he
mean-
might have gotten sick.
Well, I'm not gonna call him out, but someone that we know was like, "Oh, I got COVID recently," and I was like, "That just like it seems it's only 5 years,
Yeah.
and it's obviously been like an ongoing thing."
Yeah.
but I haven't heard someone mention
It
that. in
seems
so
like
long.
a branch timeline.
But I'm like, what?
Yeah.
you got what?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah. That movie might be like very juicy and
Yeah.
have something really
Yeah.
good to say.
Yeah.
But it probably also is just going to be a weird horror demonic.
Well, I don't think. Well, that's the thing. I
It's
don't
not a
think
horror?
it's going
Okay.
to be. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
You know what else is going to be juicy? Pedro Pascal's booty in Fantastic Four.
Ooh. Why
He's got
booty?
literally 3 movies coming
I know,
out in
dude.
4 weeks.
Yeah.
That's
Oh, shit.
nuts.
That's why it's
Materialists,
juicy.
Good for him.
Eddington,
Yep.
Fantastic.
Fantastic Four.
And that romantic
Yeah.
comedy like
Yeah,
before
Materialists.
that. Oh, that's
Guys,
Materials?
yeah.
Okay.
I don't think we've ever talked about this movie. Can we get into it? Like, what's?
Fantastic Four?
Fantastic Four?
Yeah, I don't
I've
think
heard
we've
about
I
ever-
think I've heard of it once.
I don't think I've ever talked about
No,
that
we
movie
can't.
ever.
We're not allowed.
Actually,
We
you
can't.
know what I did hear that I thought was really exciting and interesting is they are going to have some. I'm assuming it's just going to be primarily digital, but I think they're going to have some like full frame IMAX sequences,
Nice.
likely
Okay.
with
Ooh.
Galactus because that he's such a huge
Oh,
villain.
yeah.
That would
So I
make
think
sense.
that will look really cool.
It
'Cause
would look really cool.
Eternals had its issues,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
those moments with the Celestials and
Yeah.
that full frame IMAX,
Yeah.
holy shit, that was
And it would be rad if
Yeah.
it slowly opened to the full frame too as
Yeah.
Galactus is coming in.
yeah,
Like it's just
As
like
he's walking
whoa.
across New York. You're like,
Yeah.
whoa.
like the frame's just opening up, and you're just like,
Yeah.
no, it's too big.
So
That's right.
you know
Stanley
me,
said skip
you know
Fantastic
me.
Four. That's
I'll
brutal.
have my graphs and my charts to let you know where to
Yeah.
see it.
Good.
Yeah,
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Producer Mark said super chat to unlock Hector's rant on Fantastic Four. So if you want to do that, go ahead and super chat.
If you
us.
said $45, the rest of the show,
it's a $200 super chat.
Oh,
guys.
God.
the rest of the
You
show
have
will be
to-
nothing but Fantastic Four.
$200 super chat. That's the only way we're doing it.
Okay.
The next movie is Happy Gilmore 2.
You want to talk about Dumb and Dumber 2? You want to talk about Zoolander
Right.
2?
What's going on
Well,
here?
what are you guys' general thoughts on Adam Sandler's Netflix movies? Because like surprisingly, Hubie Halloween is silly, but I kind of enjoyed it.
I didn't even see
Bro,
it.
I need
thought
to
it was
rewatch
fun.
it. I need to rewatch it, but let me hit you with some harshness here. I watched for the first time. I had a 3D Blu-ray. I watched Pixels a couple weeks ago.
I just bought that on 3D Blu-ray.
Mhm.
Awful.
Really?
Just really bad.
Hey, you want it?
Yeah, bro. Pass that
No,
along.
I've
did
seen
not,
it and I passed on it because I know the
Oh.
movie's bad.
I did
Okay.
not have a good time with it, and I was I was just like let down, big dude, because Sandler has been in some of the best comedies ever made.
Yeah.
I'm not denying that. I'm not going to be
course.
some snobby person that's like, I think the first Happy Gilmore's
His
dumb.
bangers
No,
are
dude,
bangers.
they're bangers.
His bangers are bangers.
They're bangers. So that's why when one of his movies, and it feels like it's really happened in the past, in like the later decade, it felt like he was hitting his stride in the 90s, early 2000s, with Big Daddy and stuff like that. But it seems like but I got to rewatch Hubie Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, man, like I'll even go to bat for something like Little Nicky.
Mm-hmm.
But
I won't.
but that's fine. But I didn't like what's it, 8 Crazy Nights, that animated film, and people love that, and I was like really let down by that. Not because it's gross. I'm fine with a gross rated R animated. I think that's cool. It was just unfunny and bad.
Mm-hmm.
But
Click.
Pixel, so dude, I'll go to bat for some of Click, but it's also doesn't hold up great.
Yeah.
But some of Click, I was like, this is surprisingly
But like
emotional.
Wedding Singer?
Everybody.
Oh,
Yeah, Wedding Singer
gets me every time.
Wedding Singer is
Uncut
maybe his
Gems,
best
Uncut Gems.
movie.
Yeah.
The best Adam Sandler movie.
Yeah,
Not a
yeah.
movie that Adam
Right.
Sandler's in.
Yeah.
For sure.
But the best Adam Sandler movie is either Wedding Singer or the first Happy Gilmore or
Yeah.
Waterboy
Yeah.
or Big Daddy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Those are
I
all
love
bangers,
those.
certified bangers.
Certified.
I
I heard-
also brought up Spaceman, which I haven't seen. That's on
Spaceman?
Netflix.
Oh.
That's it's
Remember
actually
Sandler?
based on a Czech book.
Oh,
He plays a
Oh.
Czech astronaut.
Oh,
in the movie.
wow.
And you haven't seen it
Okay.
yet?
No, because I'm like, why can't they just cast the other Adam?
Oh. That'd be funny. That'd be great.
I will say, I heard somebody make the argument that Adam Sandler makes movies for tax breaks, just to
Whatever,
get
dude.
his,
Oh,
just
for
to
sure.
get his homies paid.
For sure.
Like he's
For
made
sure.
some real stinkers.
But you know what? Netflix pays him truckloads.
Oh,
So
yeah,
I'm like,
absolutely.
Hey, man,
Yeah.
You do you.
Yeah, I don't know
Maybe
anything
Netflix
about
should
it. So.
pay him less. I don't know. Maybe
Hey.
Netflix should go, hey, Adam, can these be a little bit better? If
Listen,
we're going to send you and
but
your
I-
friends
but
to
I
a
think the
Hawaiian
thing is-
vacation resort.
I think the thing is though, he makes them for cheap, and a lot of people watch them.
Yeah,
I
that's
see.
the
So they
thing.
get their money
so I
back,
think they
whatever.
kinda
He
get
gets
their money's
views. And
worth.
I
All
can't
right.
say that I wouldn't dress like Adam Sandler if I was
Yeah.
making that kind of money.
Yeah.
He shows up everywhere in basketball shorts and a
Whatever.
t-shirt.
Yeah, that's fine.
Chalamet. One of the best
Like,
part of the Oscars.
That's the
Yeah.
life, dude.
Yeah.
That's the life I want.
Yeah.
Okay, next
So
movie.
I might watch it, but I'm also expecting it to be a stinky stinker. Happy Gilmore 2.
Happy Gilmore 2.
Mhm.
Yeah, I agree.
But wasn't it Ryan Unicombe, our homie in Australia, that was like, no, it's going to be great, mate. I've heard things. It's great.
Oh, maybe.
Happy Gilmore formed my early adolescent personality.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
You will go to sleep or I will put you to
Yeah.
sleep.
Yeah,
Like,
it really did.
my God, that shit is fucking
just tap it in.
hilarious. Yeah, just tap it
it's
in.
so funny.
Just tap it in. Chubbs is one of the greatest characters. So
Yeah.
that movie to me is always going to be top tier.
Mhm.
Always
Yeah.
going to be top tier. But after seeing the rest of them, I don't know.
Yeah.
The next one is The Naked Gun, August 1st.
This movie is
Will it be a sleeper hit?
outside of like
Will it
Superman
be
and
a sleeper
Fantastic
hit?
Four is like my most anticipated movie
I love
of the
those
year.
kinds
Have you
of
seen
movies.
the trailer?
No, I haven't seen the trailer yet.
Oh, dude.
But
Can we pull it? Actually, can we pull it up right now? Can we do? No, will that flag our
Yeah, it might-
live?
it might-
It'll
it'll get us
flag,
pulled.
yeah.
It'll
we
get
got it.
us
We'll
pulled.
show it to
Yeah.
Augustine after, but
Yeah.
it was already on my radar because it's being done by Akiva Schaffer
Yeah.
and Yorma Tacone, or is it just Akiva?
I
I
think
can't
it's just
remember.
Akiva
It might be
Schaffer.
just Akiva Schaffer.
Yeah.
Now, the Chippendales movies was fine.
I liked it. I was surprised by
It
it.
wasn't the best, but I will stand by MacGruber,
Mhm.
Pop Star,
Love it.
Never Stop, Never
Yep.
Stopping, Hot Rod. These
Hot
are some
Rod,
of the
Hot Rod,
best
yeah.
new comedies.
I'll even go to bat for Hot Shots Part Due, The Naked Gun.
Oh, that's
like
not.
all
No,
those.
no, that's old school. I'm
Yeah,
talking about.
I know.
But I'm saying that okay, I'm saying that the people that are making this new
Right.
shit,
Mhm.
You're
the
going to bat for the
MacGruber
people.
comedy,
You're going to bat for the genre.
Yes.
that they're bringing back
Yeah.
Right,
that
right.
in a way,
Not
and you
slapstick,
haven't even
but-
seen the trailer.
No, I haven't.
Dude.
I haven't.
There, it has that Hot Shots, Naked Gun,
That's what
Leslie
I like.
Nielsen.
I love that shit.
I
Flavor.
can't wait to show
I
you this
love
trailer
that
in a
shit.
couple
It's,
minutes.
I think it's going to be really funny,
I
Yeah.
think so too.
really
I
silly
miss
and
those
funny.
kinds of movies.
Yeah,
I think
well,
it's just based on the trailer, it is leaning into what it is
Yep.
hard.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
And I
Yep.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
for
Good.
that.
That's what I
Yes.
need in
We
my
need
life.
that.
I
Yes.
need more
Yeah.
of the funny movies that
Yeah.
I'm gonna
There's
laugh
even
at.
a reference to like how O.J. Simpson was in the
It's so
originals.
good. It's
So
so
they're
good.
like, no, we're not going to do that. Yeah. It's great. A Lego sequel. Yeah.
Hilarious.
Yes, exactly. So that's what I'm expecting to be a 5-star movie, and
Yeah.
I hope it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
same.
All right,
Cool.
next movie is Weapons, August 8th. From
This-
the director of Barbarian,
Yeah.
about kids who disappear.
Zach Cregger. Have you guys seen this teaser trailer?
I had where
Josh
the kids are
Brolin?
just kind of running
and
into
they're
the
like
woods.
this and they're just running. And it
Oh,
is
no.
so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I
That's
am one of
creepy.
those few people who didn't love Barbarian as much as other people did.
Okay.
And I think part of that is because most of the people who loved it as much as they did saw it in a theater. And I saw it at home.
HBO Max.
Mhm.
On Hulu, I think it was.
Okay.
And for whatever reason, 20th Century has still not put it out on Blu-ray at all. I don't know what that's about.
Oh.
But I'm going to go see Weapons in a theater because that trailer was so uncomfortable
Yeah.
and I thought it looked great.
Yeah, I hope the movie delivers on
Yeah.
that feeling that
Me
it
too. Me too.
Because that was really kind of trippy.
Hang on, I want to call out this comment. Oh, this is interesting to me. Tony D3OOG says, Naked Gun looks bad, ... Can't replace Leslie. Leslie Nielsen died.
Well, also like they're not trying to replace.
Yeah.
No,
Leslie.
but I think that there's an acknowledgement of, look, I think people forget
Yeah.
that Leslie Nielsen before Airplane
Yeah.
was a dramatic actor.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in Airplane, he is so dry and he plays it so straightforward that that's what was hilarious.
Yeah.
He's coming into the cockpit and he's not zany, but he's like, I just want to say, good luck. And it's already after they landed.
Yeah.
But he plays everything so straightforward.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think people forget that. And then from that point on, he was farting in interviews,
Yeah.
and he was in all the
Leaning
silly
into it.
movies.
Yeah.
Even if in The Naked Gun, I think part of the joke is that he is basically playing it straightforward.
Mhm.
That's the joke. And I feel like if anybody, that fool died. I feel like if any, yeah, good comment, McDoodley. If any modern actor is in a similar position, I think 20 years ago it was De Niro.
Mhm.
When he was
Yeah.
in Meet the Parents.
Right.
It was
Oh
a
my
shift.
God.
That was
It was
That
a
was
seismic
incredible.
Yeah.
shift of like, oh, actually, utilizing his seriousness can be funny. And I think it opened up the thing. And then he was in a bunch of comedies after that. And he's been able to do that. And I think if there's an actor who's kind of in a similar position, it's Liam Neeson.
Yeah.
Because he's so over the top serious in these Taken movies and in his sort of persona. And he's famously kind of not funny.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's what's funny about it.
The movie being built around him
Yeah.
being like, can you please do your straightforward thing?
Yeah.
I think it's kind of great.
Yeah.
So
I think it's a smart move.
that's my take.
Yeah,
I
I agree
I
with you.
understand. I understand if you nostalgically love Leslie Nielsen, we all
Yeah,
do.
yeah.
But it's like,
And I think I also love the movie acknowledges that like
Yeah.
it's a part of that
Yeah.
franchise.
Right,
Those
right.
stories.
right. Liam Neeson's though.
Yeah, of
Liam
course.
Neeson's. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, but
Key
just
and
don't
Peele
forget,
changed
that fool died.
the way that I say that name.
Oh yeah.
Forever
I know.
since. Yeah,
I
it's
know.
always
Key
Liam
and
Neeson.
Peele.
To where I
Oh,
add
God.
S's to the end of things. Like
Yeah.
we have a dog in the studio named Noodle, but I call him
Noodles.
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 Hey, Noodles.
Because of
Hey, Noodles.
Liam Neeson.
Noodles though. Noodles.
All right. Next movie, August 8th, Freakier Friday. Adam
Sure.
said, sure, why not?
Sure, why not?
I don't think I've even seen the original. If I did, I saw it in 2003
You
and I
haven't
don't
seen the
remember.
original?
Yeah,
I remember the
saw it
Parent.
as a
I watched
kid.
the Parent Trap a ton as a
yeah.
kid.
The
That-
OG
that-
and
the Lindsay Lohan.
The Lindsay
Yeah.
Lohan.
You know,
okay.
I
I've
thought
seen,
that
yeah,
was
both of
great.
them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not opposed to it. I'll check it out, but it's not.
Listen,
a
if it's
priority.
far-
Or
if
will
it's-
you check it out though?
Yeah.
In theaters?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I have AMC A-list. I got
Also-
4 movies a week, bitch.
That's
I go see
true.
everything.
I know, dude.
Yeah.
And I want to make more time for it. It's been really
Yeah.
tough. I travel a lot. I'm gone almost
You
every
are gone every
weekend.
weekend.
You're gone
So I've
Thursday
been-
through Sunday.
I've been checking shit out on the planes, my
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah.
Companion,
sense.
great movie.
Mhm.
Saw it on the
Dude,
plane.
yes.
I think this weekend I'm flying and I'm like, I'm gonna try to catch Novocaine on the plane.
Yes.
I'm gonna watch it.
Good.
So if I see Freaker Friday on a plane,
Yeah.
I'll watch it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll watch it. Yes, but it'll
All
be
right.
a little
Well,
bit
then
late.
that's how Hector's going to watch
There
all
you
of this
go.
content.
Yeah.
Next movie, August 15th, Nobody Part 2. John Wick is in this one.
I
Nobody one was good.
was surprised by
think I
Nobody
saw
One because
Nobody
like
One.
Bob Odenkirk,
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, as an action guy?
Yeah.
Oh,
Sure.
Yeah.
I heard that
Yeah.
movie was surprisingly
He
good.
kicks
Yeah.
the shit out of some dudes on a bus, and I was like, okay, I'm in.
It was good.
And
I
the sequel has
see.
Keanu Reeves? Sure.
Ooh,
Give me more.
Is Keanu the bad guy? That'd be great.
I haven't seen the trailer for Nobody 2, so
Interesting.
I almost want to go in blind and not know that
Yeah.
answer.
That's a good.
Yeah.
That's a good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
good way because we never do that.
No.
We never
it's
do that.
hardly ever.
Yeah. Okay. Last movie on the list: Toxic Avenger, August 29th. Remake of the
Interested.
84 film stuck in distribution hell since
Interested.
2023.
Yeah, I love
Wow.
the concept.
Mm-hmm.
The original movie is so low budget and so trashy
Mhm.
that I remembered a couple of years ago. I was like, I want to watch because I think James Gunn wrote one of the third ones.
Are you making
You know
fun of
me.
yourself?
Yeah, I want to watch. I want to watch all of them. And then I sat through all of them. And I was like, these are actually. I don't like these movies,
Okay.
but I love and support the what's the name of the company that did all those?
Was it? It's not Trauma Pictures.
Yeah, it's
is
Trauma
it?
Pictures.
Is it? Okay.
And James Gunn came from there.
Yeah.
And Gunn was as a young guy in the third Toxic Avenger because they sort of like remaked it then. They
Yeah.
rebooted it themselves. And just like, I just love all of that indie, zero budget movie making. But I think that, and I also think the concept is fun and cool. It's basically a superhero origin where this
Yeah.
nerdy janitor who works at a high school or school is getting made fun of. And then he falls into toxic waste and it's ridiculous. And
Somebody in the chat
Yeah.
saying my old boss actually played the Toxic Avenger.
That's awesome.
Expand on that,
That's
please.
cool.
Talk,
Like,
talk
'cause I
about that
think
a
it
little bit
was
more because
the new one, the old
there's
one.
so many
Speak up.
questions. Yeah.
I mean, I think there were multiple actors that played
Yeah.
the character,
I
but I
see,
think
I
the
see.
original was like they had a skinny actor play the before, almost like a Steve Rogers, and then they had some other kind of big guy, stuntman guy playing Toxie,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think in this one it's Peter Dinklage.
and it's Peter Dinklage.
Yeah.
And I think he's a great actor, but I also heard he's kind of a dick. But I also am like, but he's like visibly the biggest little person actor in
Of course.
Hollywood history.
Yeah.
And it's super cool that he's playing this character. But also, like, I don't love the Toxic Avenger movies, but I love the
Right.
idea. That old
Mhm.
cartoon show I also thought was bad. But
Mhm.
like, they look cool. Those toys are cool. Anyway, it's whatever.
Well-
I got mixed feelings about it, but yeah.
Yeah, I think the thing that makes me
Well, Warwick Davis, you're right, is a great little person
Warwick
actor.
Davis
I mean,
is, yeah,
that's I feel like
legendary.
you could list on your hand on a one hand the named
Right.
famous household name little person actors.
yeah.
The same way you can do with like a deaf actor like Marley Matlin.
Right.
You know, and then you're starting to run out. Like you just need more.
of that.
There's
yeah.
a little person comedian named Brad Williams. I don't know if you guys know Brad Williams.
Was he the one that was talking shit about Dinklage? I think he was.
He goes on podcasts and he's
Yeah.
like, they treat him like the king of little people.
Oh,
Yeah.
I think I've
Yeah.
I think I just saw
You
a
know?
clip from something. I
Apparently,
remember
he
what
had
it
a
was.
lot of
Snow White, I
sway,
think
a
was
lot of
talking
sway
about.
in the Snow White movie.
Yeah.
Sure.
He took
Where-
away the actual potential for people playing the dwarves.
But
because
if Dinklage is going, that's a stereotype.
right, I
Don't
see
do
where
it.
he's coming
I get
from.
it, but also little
But then-
people actors. Yeah.
Then Brad was like,
Yeah.
then what are we gonna do? Like,
Yeah, I
there's
know.
no roles for us
I
in
know.
general.
I know.
You're taking away the roles for people to play. I understand
Yeah.
that he was trying to be protective of the community.
Sure.
But like, there's also not a lot of roles that people are writing
Right.
for little people. So.
It's
Yeah.
like I know so little about the community
yeah,
that I'm like, I'll defer to everybody else with
Absolutely,
whatever they're talking
100%.
about. But
yeah.
you know,
I'm just
Yeah.
saying what I heard.
Yeah.
I heard what I heard,
but
and I heard.
it's interesting because I'm like, oh, I didn't consider that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Great.
I'm excited for the Toxic Avenger, mostly because I'm curious to see like what you think. Well, I've also have not seen the original, so
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
excited to like watch that and then see this and see, because this is another one of those cases of like, cool, you're remaking this. How different is it?
Sure.
What's it going to add? You know, like with
Bro, they
how
could-
technology has advanced.
They could remake it and it basically be the same story.
Right.
And it'll be like a whole different new.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
how's it going to
Because
make you feel?
The budget was so
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah,
That like
$200.
any legit movie today, yeah, it's like, oh, that's what they added.
Yeah.
Effects.
a
Like,
YouTube video costs more
you
money
know.
nowadays.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. That's
so
true.
I'm looking forward to that. That kind of closes out our summer. There's a couple of other things
Okay.
that, but I thought, I don't think anyone's.
Yeah,
gonna
I
be,
mean
like,
that's
super
kind of like
interested in those.
the big notable thing.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's probably going to be smaller movies that come out.
Mhm.
I want to make it more of a goal of mine to just watch more movies in general.
Mhm.
I feel like I've been so deep into like the Blu-ray collecting that I'm not actively looking out movies if it's not for something that we've been
interesting.
doing for the channel.
Mm.
So I've been like really focusing on hunting at like flea markets.
I gotta
and,
get your
like,
copy
book-offs.
of Napoleon Dynamite back to you.
No,
I have to get your copy of Napoleon Dynamite back to you
Yes,
that
you
I'm
do.
borrowing, and all
Yes,
the movies
you
I'm
do.
borrowing from you as well. But
Yeah.
what? Hey, I'm trying to do one Blu-ray a week.
Mm.
So
I
you're
have a-
still going through the old catalog.
I'm trying.
Yeah,
I'm trying and watch a special feature. If I see
Mhm,
something like Pixels, I go, get the out of here. You suck. But at least I'm whittling away and trying to clean
Yeah,
and organize,
yeah.
and one a week. Don't be hard on yourself. Watch
Mm.
one new movie a week or one Blu-ray a week.
That's what I'm trying to do, is trying to focus
Okay.
on the newer movies, because I feel like my movie, when I hear other people have conversations about movies, even you, Adam, like you watch so many other movies that I'm just like, oh, I haven't even made time for anything outside of like the superhero or animation
Sure.
genre.
sure.
And so it's just, it's difficult for me to get to those movies, but
Mhm.
I want to make it a goal of mine to just get out there and
Mhm.
just see more movies that are outside of the scope of what we're
Yeah,
doing here. Because I feel it's only helpful. Like it's only helpful to other stuff. So
Yeah.
All right, let's
Um,
get into some super chats. I know Tough Luck
we
has
have
been
one
dying
more.
to talk about Elio.
We have
Did you
one
skip
more.
over Elio? Did
No.
we talk about Elio?
Well, we kind of did.
Yeah.
No,
I
well,
just-
there
I-
was a comment in there that Adam wrote
Yes.
down, which was, "Does Pixar still have the sauce?"
Right. That was the
Mm.
note for Elio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
What do we
Which is-
think?
Well, I mean, I wrote that in there mostly when we talk about Elio to see, does it kind of live up to whatever expectations we have?
Got it.
Because I enjoy most of the Pixar stuff, but a lot of times I'll walk in and out of something and I go, that was fine.
Mhm.
But I want to really be swept by a Pixar
Mhm.
movie.
I have such a personal take on Pixar because Hector and I went to the same school, study animation.
Mhm.
Pixar was heavy in the conversation of talking about the gold standard.
Mhm.
It looked like it was going to be the Disney Renaissance. And in a sense, it was the kind of the Disney Renaissance all over again with computer animation. And so we studied all of their shorts, all of their early movies, like talked about the tech, talked about the animation.
Mhm.
And it seemed for a long time that they were going to be like it. To me, I feel like the last couple of movies have been fine,
Mhm.
but they just don't have the sauce that they used to back in the day. Not to say that their movies are bad. I'm just saying that like maybe I grew out of the demographic. I'm not sure, because I don't feel like the early movies generally had a demographic, because I know their big stance that they were creating their movies on was like, we're writing for kids and adults and everybody's going to like these movies.
Mm.
Mhm.
And nowadays I feel like they're skating off of their successes. They have had some great ones. Turning Red was fantastic. In and Out 2.
That's what a hamburger's all about.
By the way, that's a sequel.
That's Food Story.
That's the
what they're
food
gonna
burger
do.
story. Inside Out 2 I thought was great. But I can't really go into Elio fully excited. I want to be. I'm going to wear my Pixar jacket.
Yeah.
I'm going to go in there like a fanboy and just be like, let's be good. But if I'm being very, very honest, I'm not going in super duper hyped about this movie. So I'm excited for the screening that we're going to.
I haven't loved a Pixar movie since Coco.
Yeah.
But even some of the ones after Coco, which was 2017, I really liked Incredibles 2. I'll go to bat for it.
Yeah,
I really liked Toy Story 4.
Yep. I
thought
love
it was
Surprisingly
awesome.
did too, yeah.
And I liked Onward and Soul and Luca and Turning Red. Lightyear, disliked it. And Elemental.
Actively.
Elemental I thought was okay. But I didn't love it the way some people loved Elemental.
I turned it off after half an hour.
Jeez. And then Inside Out 2, I liked it.
Yeah.
I thought it was good. But it's tough when you compare it to the run of like, you know, from years ago that went like Toy Story 3, Up, WALL-E, Ratatouille. That was all in one run. Or The Incredibles, Finding Nemo, Monsters Inc., Toy Story 2.
Yeah.
Like that early Pixar is like,
Bang, bang,
oh,
bang,
they were
bang.
making masterpieces.
Bangers. But also
All of them are nominated for Oscars.
it feels like Pixar was a different beast back then.
Sure.
Too.
Yeah.
Even though they had been acquired by Disney, it still felt like they were sticking to the old school mentality of the story comes first. I remember watching a documentary where they were talking about the filmmakers, and they took a drive from San Francisco to LA and back just to talk about the story in the car, because that's where they felt like they were most creative. And they had no other thing to distract them besides driving, of like talking about the story.
That's
Yeah.
great.
And how it would take them 3 years in pre-production talking and molding the story and storyboards and animatics before they even hired artists to come and like do this stuff, right?
Yeah.
I don't feel like that happens anymore.
Story is king, yeah.
I don't feel like that happens
Well,
anymore, and
I-
the stories have shown that.
You might be right. I mean, I know that it's some different people, but it's also like in their. I loved the specificity of Turning Red, and I love the specificity of Luca, but I do think that like Toy Story was a little bit more wider reaching. But I love the specificity of Coco. But I think it's also very universal. I don't know. I don't want them to. Well, let's talk about this comment from Tough Luck, who's been dying to talk about Elio. We've got two more. Okay, let's do these other ones, and we'll get to Tough Luck's comment here in a second. But basically, yeah.
Tough Luck just threw his laptop.
So, hey, that's tough luck. That's tough luck, friend.
Tough luck, baby.
Remy D with a $5 super chat. Thank you so much. Why do you think the recent Mission Impossible movies aren't resonating with the normies? By all accounts, they should be box office smash.
I think they are with the rest of the world.
I don't know.
Well, Dead Reckoning didn't do as well. Dead Reckoning was
Part one?
generally,
Yeah.
was generally like positive reception, but people had some feedback on it. I think obviously with like Fallout being such a huge success, I think the times have also changed. Like we went through a pandemic, a lot happened. I think part of it is also, and Christopher McQuarrie is on the Happy Sad Confused podcast talking about this with Josh Horowitz.
Great.
And how like they took that into consideration when they got the feedback for Dead Reckoning Part 1, and like how what they did to change it for Part 2. I think part of it is also they made Top Gun Maverick, Dead Reckoning Part 1, and The Final Reckoning at the same time, or back to back to back. And I think that is just creative burnout too.
Yeah.
So I think that affects the quality of the movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think the idea of the entity, the villain of the movie itself,
Hector hates the entity.
it's
Doesn't work
for me. I don't think it's as exciting as having like Henry Cavill and Sean Harris
Correct.
being the villains that you're going up against. Actual physical
Philip Seymour
presence.
Hoffman.
Philip Seymour Hoffman. I think that's what really hits with people.
I also think that, because I was just talking about this yesterday with somebody, and I was like, I haven't seen the new Mission yet, and I need to. And they're like, I haven't seen it. I haven't seen the last couple ones.
Oh.
And I think that in an effort to try and make it the most epic, the past couple ones the most epic, and McHugh and Tom Cruise have been trying to emphasize the lore. In many ways, turn these movies into Marvel movies, where it's like, we want to have an end game level payoff. Okay, well then what you're doing is you're turning Mission Impossible into homework.
Yeah.
Whereas in the past, the early part of the
There was an
franchise,
anthology series.
anybody could just go and see
At
whatever.
any point, yeah.
At any point.
Yeah.
And I think maybe audiences got wise to like, wait, Dead Reckoning Part 1, Final Reckoning Part 2, okay, this is called, the trailer has like, it's all led to this. It's like, shit, I gotta rewatch these 6 or 7 movies first. Well, I didn't have time. So maybe turning these into Marvel movies has brought on. They're trying to get the Marvel benefit, but they're also bringing that Marvel curse of like a lot of people didn't go see Thunderbolts because they're like, I'm behind.
Yep.
It's homework to see all the Marvel movies. Even if they're trying to advertise the Marvel movies, it's like you don't have to see anything. Well, you're using a character from a TV show, dude. I didn't see that TV show.
Yeah.
So that's the trade-off.
Yeah.
And I think that may have been one of the reasons that these new Mission Impossible movies weren't box office smash.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
I think you're right.
something
Yeah.
that
You're
has
right.
been great.
Yeah.
Next super chat from Bad Medicine. $5 super chat. Thanks for the shout out, Adam. Hopefully we can all get a collab soon. Cheers.
Ooh, this office is tiny, but you're welcome.
That's to that.
We do
Maybe,
it all.
maybe a reaction. Yeah, maybe a remote.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then
yeah.
finally, tough luck. I think actually we're out of time. I'm so sorry.
We gotta go.
kidding. We are gonna be out of
Sorry,
time
the
soon,
power
though.
just
Kidding.
shuts down in the studio.
We'll go fast. $9.99 super chat. Really hope Pixar's Elio can be a sleeper hit for Disney at the box office and with critics. Same with Hoppers next March, which is Pixar's 30th film.
Wow.
It's their next original new movie.
Wow.
Or else, if not, Disney may turn Pixar into a sequel factory. Well, I think Pixar already is a sequel factory.
I think they are,
They've kind
unfortunately.
of hit that.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think they've made some of the greatest sequels
I don't
in
think so either.
cinematic history.
Yeah.
Toy Story 2 and 3.
Oh, Toy Story 3 had me babbling like a baby, dude.
I think Incredibles
Oh my
2 is a
God.
great sequel. I think enough time has passed between now Toy Story 4 and 5 that it's the same as like 2 and 3 or something. Am I crazy?
Yeah, because
No, Toy Story 4. Let me look.
I don't know.
The point is I trust Pixar even with sequels because I'm like they wait to make the movie until they got like they're doing a Coco
Yeah.
too.
Sure.
You know, Toy Story 5 was 20. Sorry, Toy Story 4 was 2019.
19?
yeah.
And Toy
Same
Story
year as Avengers Endgame? Oh,
yeah,
wow.
and Toy Story 5 is coming out in 2026.
Yeah.
Man.
So not a 10-year gap, but like a 7-year
Yeah.
gap.
Yeah.
A 6-year.
Well, I mean, people were saying that about Toy Story 3 too, because there was a huge gap between
Yeah.
those movies as well.
Yeah.
But it's
right?
like if that time progresses, you know, are we going to see a grown-up Bonnie in Toy Story 5? Are we
Maybe.
going to like the way we had like passing of the torch of
What do
anyway?
toys mean nowadays in
yeah,
our
what are
very
they gonna do?
digital world?
I'm not sure I'm in love with Pixar's new animation style either. Like
Which
the
is
Elio
what?
look, like the kind of Bobby.
Sure.
I understand that they're going for a little bit more stylized,
Mm-hmm.
but we talked about this a long time ago. Spider-Verse changed the game as
I
far as
know.
animation goes.
I know.
We even saw a little bit of that hand-drawn stuff in Arcane. Well, not a little bit, a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Like having the hand-drawn over the CG animation, I think is the wave of the future. And for some reason, Pixar is ignoring that. And they're going with this kind of anime-ish, bubbly, roundy,
I think
kind of like Luca style, I guess.
yeah, I think it really worked for Turning Red.
It worked for Turning
because
Red.
that was an
Absolutely.
anime inspired, like those
Yes.
characters like loved anime and manga.
Yes.
And they were
It 100%
Asian
worked.
in North America, like 100%. But
I
yeah,
think they need to change their style.
Luca maybe could have been more European,
Absolutely.
maybe a little more
Absolutely.
Italian, whatever that
Mhm,
means.
mhm, mhm.
And yeah, going forward, you know, Elio, it feels very round and bulbousy.
It feels like it lives in the Luca world because
Yeah.
it looks exactly the same.
yeah,
I think of the characters in Wall-E.
right. They're
like the
very
human
round.
characters?
Yeah,
very
yeah,
pudgy.
yeah.
Sure.
You know, it
Mhm.
seems
Sure.
like that like style of just making like very circular shaped characters
Yes.
is like a
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
I also don't know if I
They're
love
appealing.
it.
I don't love it. I really don't love it.
Like I like Incredibles because it had variety.
I like it because they were all based off of Brad Bird.
Yo, hang on.
I mean,
Everything was based off
Tough
Brad
Luck
Bird.
is pissed at us, you guys. Tough Luck coming in hot with a all caps, oh, come on, Augustine.
Oh, whoa.
You two
Getting
with the
attacked.
diss on Pixar's new animation style,
Yep.
starting at Luca. Why do
Yep.
people have so much disdain for this style? Do people want Pixar to go back to the Lasseter way?
No.
No, we
I want them
do
to
new
evolve
stuff.
and go forward. I want it to be
Yeah.
unrecognizable.
Yeah.
I want it to look like Arcane, honestly. Like
Something new.
I need a fresh new take. I want hand-drawn stuff.
As you were talking
Spice it
about
up a
it,
little bit.
Yeah.
I was thinking back to like, because if we're just talking about even just human characters, because you know, Toy Stories are going to look like toys,
Mhm.
but then you go to like, I think Incredibles had a great retro 60s style that fit with the Incredibles, but like in Toy Story 1 and 2, the CG characters, they were trying to do human Andy and human Andy's little sister and Andy's
Yeah.
mom, and they looked weird. And then in Monsters Inc., Boo was adorable. That's kind of the only human. So if Pixar
They
were to
historically had trouble with human characters
right,
early
which
on.
I get it.
Easily.
So we're not saying that they shouldn't be like stylized in some way.
Right, exactly.
But Augustine's just saying that Elio is reminiscent of Luca.
Yeah,
And it's a little bit
absolutely.
reminiscent of
Turning Red. Yeah.
And I think that Pixar being one of these early names in the game of CG animation, like, could they be pushing it forward?
They absolutely
more?
could be, because they were early on.
And they did a little bit for Turning Red. And I remember hearing the behind the scenes of Turning Red is that they were like, that some of the artists were saying, we felt like we had to kind of pull Pixar into the future a little bit. That's not what animation
is about, though. Like, they need to be pushing the envelope with everything. I remember people in the chat were talking about Paperman. That Paperman short, I don't know if you've ever seen it, but it was a short that Disney put out. It was fucking revolutionary. Yeah. Because this is the first time, not the first time, but it was one of the most successful uses of hand-drawn techniques over CG. And it looks fucking beautiful. It's so good. And because the animation has always been has been pushing the envelope with what it can do all the time. And I love Pixar, and I want them to be pushing the envelope. I want to be wowed every time I go in and see the animators doing something beautiful, to see the production design doing something amazing, to see something that I've never seen before. Like that little kid in the Incredibles movie where it goes, that was amazing. Yeah, I want to leave every Pixar movie feeling that way. Yeah. And I don't feel that way right now. Yeah. That hasn't been the case in a very long time. Yeah. I want the best for them.
There you go, Tough Luck. There's your answer.
We gotta go.
I mean, there's a great conversation there. I like how Tough Luck is bringing up examples of, like, the Tiana show or movie got canceled. I think it's also because it's Trump's America. And it's also, they're bringing up the movie Wish, which failed and had kind of a unique style. But I think
not
also
unique
Wish,
enough.
I agree. I think Wish could have pushed it more.
It could have pushed
anyway,
it more. Yeah.
All of this to say,
we'll have to have a whole Pixar episode.
I'll bring my jacket.
Yeah, bring your jacket.
In all seriousness, if we do that, I want us each to bring our top 10.
Easy.
Okay. That
we
works.
talk about, because I want to know what our rankings are, our top 10. So we don't have to have seen every Pixar movie, because there's still a couple that we might not have seen, but top 10.
Perfect.
Yeah,
guys, thank you guys so much for watching. We really appreciate all the super chats. I know this was a very last minute thing, but we appreciate you guys sticking around for the whole 2 hours. Very juicy episode. Check out all the reactions we have on Patreon, on YouTube, if you want to watch the Jurassic World films, Last of Us, and/or all kinds of stuff. We'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
Heroes Reforged is gonna react. Heroes Reforged is gonna review. Heroes Reforged is gonna discuss. That's why we are watching.